Chapter 874. Check them one by one. Chapter 874. Ever since he got the Mystic Moon Jade pendant from Lu Durong, Ningyu kept it with him, and did not pass it to Lu Wei. The reason why Ningyu did not pass the Mystic Moon Jade pendant to Lu Wei immediately was not because Ningyu wanted to keep it for himself, but because Ningyu realized that the seal on the Mystic Moon Jade pendant had loosened. The Mystic Moon Jade pendant in this state could be easily discovered by those who were observant. Rather than leaving it with Lu Wei, it was better for Ningyu to keep it with him. This way, he could slightly suppress the aura of the Mystic Moon Jade pendant. Now that he had advanced to the manifestation realm, all the problems would be solved. Seal it for me. Ningyu waved his hands continuously. In a split second, numerous cold rays flew out and entered the Mystic Moon Jade pendant. Swoosh. Not only that, Ningyu also released his Grade 7 beginner soul power and wrapped it around the surface of the Mystic Moon Jade pendant. Drip, drip. In order to completely conceal the aura of the Mystic Moon Jade pendant, Ningyu was extremely focused. He did not even have the time to wipe the sweat on his forehead. Time passed by minute by minute. In the blink of an eye, another half an hour had passed. Fortunately, the seal has only loosened and not completely dissipated. Otherwise, even if I advanced to the manifestation realm, it would be difficult to conceal the aura of the Mystic Moon Jade pendant in such a short period of time. Looking at the Mystic Moon Jade pendant that had its aura concealed, Ningyu wiped the sweat on his forehead. Since the problem of the Mystic Moon Jade pendant had been solved, there was no need for Ningyu to carry it with him. Swoosh. In a flash, Ningyu arrived beside Lu Wei. Wear this. Ningyu passed the Mystic Moon Jade pendant to Lu Wei and said. After receiving the jade pendant, Lu Wei wore it around her neck without asking why. Let's go to Tianxian City. Seeing Lu Wei put on the mysterious Moon Jade pendant, Ningyu waved his hand and took the lead to fly towards Mysterious Sky City. Seeing Ningyu set off, the Dark Emperor and the others were first stunned, and then they chased after him. To be honest, the Dark Emperor and the others all knew that Lu Wei had the Extreme Yin body, and also knew that the emotions of the Extreme Yin body could not fluctuate too much, otherwise the consequences would be unimaginable. In the eyes of the Dark Emperor and the others, the best way was to let Lu Wei enter the storage ring. This was the best way to solve the problem. Of course, all of this was built on the premise that the Dark Emperor and the others didn't know about the Mystic Moon Jade pendant. Otherwise, they definitely wouldn't have such thoughts in their hearts. Tianxian City. The turmoil among the four big families in Tianxian City ended with the victory of the Ning family. The Ning family had also become the well-deserved overlord of Tianxian City. Under the leadership of the Ning family, Tianxian City was thriving, and there were very few cases of stealing. However, recently, the Ning family might have encountered some unforeseen event, and the members of the family were always frowning and dejected. Even the acting patriarch of the Ning family, Ning Tang, rarely showed his face in Tianxian City. Bang! At this time, in a certain room of the Ning family, the acting patriarch of the Ning family, Ning Tang, slapped the chair beneath him and said coldly, "They are really too much to actually ground us. Grand Elder, why don't I think of a way to leave the Ning family and go to the capital to look for Ningyu?" In the room, other than Ning Tang, there were four other martial artists. The geniuses of the Ning family, Ning Xian, Ning Xian, Ning Hu, and the Ning family's patriarch, Ning He. At this time, Ning Xian said in a deep voice, "I heard from that mysterious person that Ningyu is very strong and is a top genius even in Danwu College." Top genius? What's the use of a top genius? Ning Tang said angrily. Do you know what the cultivation level of that mysterious person is? What cultivation level? Ning Xian asked doubtfully. Creation realm. Ning Tang said. Even a creation realm martial artist was easily defeated. Do you think that Ningyu can help us if he rushes back? In my opinion, it's best that Ningyu doesn't come back, or else the last descendant of the Ning family will be controlled. But Ningyu opened his mouth and wanted to say something, but he was attracted by the sound of a door being broken. Bang! Outside the door, a young man about 20 years old kicked the door open and swaggered in. Who is the patriarch of the Ning family? The young man did not beat around the bush. After entering the room, he said directly, I give you 5 minutes to gather all the members of the Ning family between 15 and 25 years old in the martial arts arena. If even one is missing, you should know the consequences. With that, the young man left the room on his own. 5 minutes later, in the Ning family's martial arts arena, the younger generation of martial artists stood in one area, and the rest of the martial artists stood in another area. In the middle of the martial arts arena, there were 3 martial artists sitting on the round table. Staring at the martial artists on the round table, except for a few brave ones, the rest of the Ning family were trembling. Ahem. One of the martial artists on the round table coughed twice and said in a clear voice, Don't panic. We mean no harm. We are only here to find one person. As long as you cooperate, when we find that person, we will give the Ning family the best cultivation resources, the best. Zhang Gu, don't waste time. Hurry up and start. Before the martial artist finished speaking, another young martial artist on the round table waved his hand and said impatiently, All right. The martial artist called Zhang Gu took out a crystal ball and said loudly, All the martial artists between 15 and 25 years old, come up one by one and force a drop of blood to drip on the crystal ball. As long as the crystal ball shines, we will leave. You, the first one. Zhang Gu's eyes fell on the nearest martial artist, Ning Guang, the genius of the Ning family's younger generation, 15 years old. Ning Guang came to the round table and carefully forced a drop of blood to drip on the crystal ball. Not qualified. 3 seconds later, seeing that the crystal ball was still intact, Zhang Gu said in a deep voice, Next. While Zhang Gu was testing slowly, the other 2 martial artists began to talk. He Guan, are you sure the person we are looking for is in the Ning family? One of the 2 martial artists, who was slightly older, said. I'm sure. That bastard must be in the Ning family. He Guan dared to show his impatience to Zhang Gu, but to Lu Qiong, he could only smile. In the Supreme 9 Purities Temple, Lu Qiong was in the early stage of the Fate Realm. She was ranked 4th on the genius list. As for him, although his cultivation was similar to Lu Qiong's, there was a huge difference in their strength. On the genius list, he could only rank around 20. Zhang Gu's cultivation was even lower, half a step into the Fate Realm. He was ranked 50th on the Supreme 9 Purities Temple's genius list. What's the use of your guarantee? Lu Qiong said in a deep voice. This time, we are not the only ones who came to the Great Xia Kingdom. Even Yin Hua, who is ranked 3rd on the genius list, came to the Great Xia Kingdom. If Yin Hua finds that bastard first, you should know the consequences better than me. I know this, but Yin Hua has something wrong with his brain. He actually didn't look in the Ning family, but went to the Magic Beast mountain range. Chapter 875. Arrive in time, be that as it may, we still have to be prepared. If we can't find that little bastard in the Ning family, we'll have to immediately head to the mountain range of magical beasts. Lu Qiong was not as brainless as He Guan. He was more rational. That's right. We have to be prepared. He Guan first agreed with Lu Qiong before he turned around and scolded, Zhang Gu, hurry up and finish the examination within 10 minutes. Hearing this, Zhang Gu's eyebrows slightly furrowed, his face revealing a displeased expression. However, Zhang Gu's back was facing He Guan, so He Guan did not notice. Humph! With so many people here, how can we finish the inspection in 10 minutes? Zhang Gu snorted inwardly, but on the surface, he said in a clear voice, One person is too slow. Let's do it together. Whoosh! Whoosh! The 2 peerless geniuses of the Ning family came to the round platform and forced a drop of blood onto the crystal ball. As expected, the crystal ball was safe and sound. Time was ticking away. As time went by, Lu Qiong's expression became colder and colder. Glancing at the remaining 10 or so young martial artists, Lu Qiong said in a low voice, "Looks like that bastard isn't in the Ning family." What? When He Guan heard Lu Qiong's words and saw Lu Qiong's facial expression, his heart skipped a beat. He vaguely felt that something was wrong. He Guan was very smart. In order to prevent Lu Qiong from getting angry, he jumped to Ning He's side. "Puh." He Guan slapped Ning He on the cheek and said coldly, "Old B****, tell me, is there anyone who hasn't come yet?" Puff. Although Ning He had advanced to the origin core stage with Ouyang Luan's help, he still had no room to fight back when facing He Guan, who was at the initial stage of the creation stage. Spitting out blood and teeth, Ning He said, "All the members of the Ning family are here, no one is missing." "Humph. You're about to die, yet you're still so stubborn." He Guan didn't believe that everyone from the Ning family was here. As far as he knew, the so-called genius of the Ning family, Ning Yu, was not here. "If I don't see Ning Yu in 3 minutes, you'll be dead." He Guan's expression was indifferent and his tone was cold. Ning He turned his head away and chose not to speak. "Oh, you're pretty tough, huh? Since that's the case, let me loosen your old bones." Ning He's reaction made He Guan very unhappy. He raised the corner of his mouth and immediately punched Ning He's chest. Bang! The huge force that came from his chest caused Ning He to fly several feet away and directly fall at the entrance of the martial arts practice field. "I'm done." At this moment, Zhang Gu's voice came from the round platform. "There's no one who fits." Ka. Originally, He Guan was very dissatisfied with Ning He. Now, hearing Zhang Gu's words, he was even more furious. He stamped his feet on the ground and rushed out. "Old fart, I'll let you know the consequences of offending me." He Guan was furious. He was furious to the extreme. It didn't matter if they couldn't find him, the key was to embarrass him in front of Lu Qiong. Lu Qiong was a genius ranked 4th in the Supreme Nine Purities Temple. Not only was she powerful, but she also had a powerful background. If he offended Lu Qiong, he would have a hard time in the Supreme Nine Purities Temple. "Old ancestor, run!" Seeing He Guan rush out, Ning Tang, the great elder of the Ning family, hurriedly moved and stood in front of He Guan. "Get lost!" The enraged He Guan kicked Ning Tang's body, causing him to pass out. After kicking Ning Tang away, He Guan's figure quickly cut through the void and came to Ning He's side in the blink of an eye. "I didn't want to kill you, but it's a pity that you dissatisfied me again and again. I have to grind your bones and scatter your ashes." He Guan didn't attack immediately. Instead, he slightly tidied up his clothes and said lightly, "After you go to hell, learn to be smart. You'd better not resist when people who are stronger than you ask you to do something. Otherwise, you'll die an ugly death." "Pooh. You can only jump around in Tianxian City. There are many people in the Heavenly Devil territory who are more powerful than you. Why don't you find trouble with them?" Ning He spat out a mouthful of saliva and said coldly, "Ha ha, I, He Guan, like to bully people who are weaker than me. What can you do to me?" He Guan looked up to the sky and laughed. "He can't do anything to you, but I don't know what I can do to you." After He Guan laughed, an indifferent voice came from a distance. "Rustle." Immediately, several figures appeared in He Guan's line of sight. "Who do you think you are to talk to me like this?" At this time, there were still people who dared to mock He Guan, which made He Guan very angry and unhappy. Swoosh! As He Guan's gloomy words fell, he clenched his right hand into a fist and blasted the thin figure standing beside Ning He with a violent Yuan Qi gale. Crack! Next, a crisp sound rang out. Then, like a kite with a broken string, He Guan's body retreated several feet away. Boom! The sudden change made the warriors in the entire martial arts practice field change their faces. They all looked at the teenager beside Ning He in shock. Gulp! After a short period of shock, someone swallowed a mouthful of saliva. Ning Yu, when did he become so strong? Ning Xian's mouth was slightly open, his face full of disbelief. Could it be that brother Ning Yu's cultivation has reached the manifestation stage? Ning Xian's mouth was a little dry. Even after saying this, he himself felt very shocked. In any case, brother Ning Yu is back, we will definitely be saved. Ning Hu, who was simple and honest, scratched his head and said. The discussion in his ears made He Guan's face turn red, and he let out a hysterical roar. Ning Yu, your name is Ning Yu. How dare you cripple my right hand? I will tear you apart. He Guan roared. Ning Yu did not care whether He Guan roared or not. He stamped his feet on the ground and rushed out. He Guan not only seriously injured Ning He, but also wanted to kill Ning He. How could Ning Yu bear it? Since he could not bear it, then he would teach He Guan a lesson. Even if he could not kill him, he would let him know who he could offend and who he could not. Buzz. However, before Ning Yu came to He Guan, Lu Qiong, who was on the round platform, suddenly rushed out and blocked Ning Yu's fist for He Guan. After one move, both Ning Yu and Lu Qiong took a few steps back. Early stage of the manifestation stage? Lu Qiong stared at Ning Yu with a hint of shock on her face. Lu Qiong was very confident in his strength. In the Supreme Nine Purities Temple, except for the top 3 monsters, almost no martial artists in the early stage of the manifestation stage could compete with him. But now, this martial artist in the early stage of the manifestation stage could be evenly matched with him. Although he did not use all his strength, he knew that the other party must not have used all his strength either. Early stage of the manifestation stage. While Lu Qiong was looking at Ning Yu was also looking at Lu Qiong. To be honest, Lu Qiong gave Ning Yu a great shock. Chapter 876. The 7th move, Ning Yu, the genius of the Ning family, known as the Star of Hope for the rise of the Ning family. Lu Qiong's expression did not change much. She first evaluated Ning Yu, then changed the topic and said coldly, however, you must pay for injuring He Guan. Ouyang Luan, the people you met at the Ning family, are they them? Ning Yu ignored Lu Qiong and spoke to Ouyang Luan in a deep voice. The 3 of them are the leaders, the rest. Ouyang Luan did not dare to be negligent. That's enough. Ning Yu waved his hand and interrupted Ouyang Luan. He then said, this is the Ning family. Did you get permission from the Ning family to behave atrociously here? Is there something wrong with your brain? Lu Qiong was slightly startled. We are from the Supreme Nine Purities Temple. We can go wherever we want. Do we need to report to you? Humph. This is the Ning family. It is not a place for you to behave atrociously. Ning Yu snorted and scolded. I don't care if you are from the Supreme Nine Purities Temple or the Nine Purities Temple. In short, if you cannot get the forgiveness of the Ning family today, then there is no need for you to live in this world. Ha ha ha! Not only did Lu Qiong burst into laughter, but even Zhang Gu, who was on the round platform, also laughed out loud. A nobody from the Ning family of the Xia Kingdom dared to speak to the genius who ranked 4th in the Supreme Nine Purities Temple in such a manner. Either he was itching for a beating or he was tired of living. Remember my name. I am Lu Qiong. This name will be your nightmare in leveling up. After laughing, Lu Qiong's eyes turned cold. She waved her sleeves quickly. An array of cold light flew out and headed straight for Ning Yu. Whoosh! The speed of the cold light was so fast that it made a sizzling sound as it rubbed against the air. Hong Mo, evacuate all the members of the Ning family. Treat those who are injured and help those who are not. Ning Yu did not take the cold light that was rushing towards him to heart. Instead, he instructed the Red Fiend and the others to evacuate the crowd. Although the martial arts practice field was large, if they fought here, the Ning family's children would definitely be affected. Only when the Ning family retreated with all their might, could Ning Yu fight Lu Qiong for real. In Ning Yu's mind, although Lu Qiong was rather arrogant, she was still very strong. At the very least, he was the strongest genius that Ningyu had faced at this stage. Humph! How dare you get distracted while fighting me? I'll let you know what true strength is. Seeing that Ningyu was ignoring her, Lu Qiong snorted coldly and dashed out. Boom! Before Lu Qiong reached Ningyu, Ningyu swung his sleeve and easily dispersed the cold light that Lu Qiong shot out. After dispersing the cold light, Ningyu's fist collided with Lu Qiong's fist. When the two fists collided, a terrifying shock wave spread out in all directions from the point of contact. Fortunately, the Red Fiend had evacuated the children of the Ning family in time. Otherwise, the aftermath alone would be enough to kill most of the Ning family members. You've completely infuriated me. Lu Qiong took a deep breath and said in a deep voice, Originally, I didn't intend to start a massacre in the Ning family. However, since you've disobeyed me time and time again, I can only do as I wish. Zhang Gu, Lu Qiong said coldly. Here. Zhang Gu replied. Kill everyone from the Zhang family without mercy. Lu Qiong's tone was filled with intense killing intent. Yes. Bang. The ideal was perfect, but the reality shattered Lu Qiong's dream into pieces. Zhang Gu had just responded, but before he could start his massacre, he was hit by a black figure and fell off the round platform. What? The sudden change made Lu Qiong's expression change drastically. He was not surprised that Zhang Gu had been defeated. After all, Zhang Gu's cultivation was only half a step into the manifestation state. He was relatively weak. What shocked him was the person who defeated Zhang Gu. To be precise, it was the dog that defeated Zhang Gu, the black dog. Ningyu, you can just kill these pieces of trash. Why go through so much trouble? Most importantly, after the black dog defeated Zhang Gu, it complained to Ningyu. Lu Qiong was speechless. Since when did a dog dare to be so arrogant? Looks like I'm ignorant. At that moment, Lu Qiong calmed down. He ignored Zhang Gu and He Guan. Instead, he took out a crystal ball and said calmly, I mean no harm. As long as you force a drop of blood on it, I'll leave immediately. Whoosh! As he spoke, Lu Qiong flicked his wrist and tossed the crystal ball at Ningyu. Crack! How could Ningyu catch the crystal ball? With a thought, the red devil sword appeared in Ningyu's hand. With a slash of the sword, the crystal ball was directly cut into two halves without any fancy move. This is my chance. Seeing that the crystal ball had been split in half, Lu Qiong quickly tore the void with his hands and entered it. Do you want to play this trick with me? Seeing that Lu Qiong had disappeared, Ningyu closed his eyes and released his powerful senses to detect Lu Qiong's location. Suddenly, Ningyu held the red devil sword in his hand and stabbed it above his head. Oh no! Lu Qiong did not expect Ningyu's senses to be so powerful. He hastily stopped in midair and retreated. However, before Lu Qiong could organize a second round of attacks, he saw that Ningyu was holding the red devil sword and slashed down a sword ripple in the air. The sword ripple was about the thickness of a person's waist and contained a terrifying wave of vitality. What? It's the solitaire. You're the son of a bitch that we've been looking for. Lu Qiong was a peerless genius ranked 4th on the Supreme 9 Purities Temple's Genius Leaderboard. Naturally, he had cultivated the Supreme 9 Purities sword skill. In fact, Lu Qiong had not only cultivated the Supreme 9 Purities sword skill, but he had also cultivated up to the 8th form. In the past, Lu Qiong thought that he had cultivated the 6th form, solitaire, to the extreme. Now that he had seen Ningyu perform the solitaire, even a genius like him felt ashamed of his inferiority. The 7th form of the Supreme 9 Purities sword skill, sword ripple. Lu Qiong would not sit and wait for death. He immediately took out the flying sword that he carried with him and injected the vitality in his consciousness into the flying sword. He slashed out a sword ripple in the air. In midair, two sword ripples that were as thick as a person's waist collided with each other like two angry tigers. Whoosh! The vitality waves that scattered in all directions almost enveloped the entire martial arts field. Fortunately, Ningyu had the foresight to evacuate the Ning family members. Otherwise, the consequences would be unimaginable. At this moment, all the martial artists in the martial arts field shifted their gazes to the air. Everyone wanted to see whether the sword ripple produced by Ningyu or the sword ripple produced by Lu Qiong would win. Haha, Ningyu only performed the 6th form of the Supreme Nine Purities sword skill, while senior brother Lu Qiong performed the 7th form of the Supreme Nine Purities sword skill. There's no comparison at all. He Guan seemed to have expected the outcome. He laughed wildly and said coldly. Chapter 877. To kill each other, shut up, kid! The Dark Emperor couldn't stand He Guan's arrogance. Although the sword wave unleashed by Lu Qiong seemed to be quite powerful, however, it did not mean that he could defeat Ningyu for sure. Even if Lu Qiong's sword ripples could defeat Ningyu's sword ripples, it had nothing to do with He Guan. The Dark Emperor's figure flashed and arrived beside He Guan in the blink of an eye. His claws slapped He Guan's face repeatedly. Several crisp sounds rang out in the martial arts arena. It even attracted the attention of the crowd. A dead dog dares to hit me? When he was defeated by Ningyu, He Guan was very angry. However, he knew that he was no match for Ningyu, so he didn't fight with Ningyu. Now, He Guan believed that he could easily deal with the Dark Emperor. Therefore, He Guan clenched his right fist and punched the Dark Emperor's head. I want to eat braised dog meat today, ha ha ha. He Guan seemed to have seen the tragic scene of the Dark Emperor's brain exploding, and he laughed uproariously. Bang! He Guan's arrogant laughter had only been halfway through when it suddenly stopped, and then his body was like a kite with a broken string as he retreated a few meters back. Poochie! Dark red blood spurted out. He Guan saw stars and could not even stand steadily. Rumble! At this time, Ningyu's solitaire had already collided with Lu Qiong's sword wave. When the two sword waves clashed, boundless essence scattered in all directions. Seeing this, everyone fled in all directions. Among them, Ningyu and Lu Qiong, who were at the center of the sword wave, stared at each other and stood still, letting the primordial qi hit them. Looking closely, one could see that there was a dense yuan qi light barrier on the surface of Ningyu and Lu Qiong's bodies. The yuan qi light barrier easily blocked the yuan qi fragments created by the collision of the sword ripples. The 7th form of the Supreme Nine Purities sword art. Ningyu's brows were slightly solemn as he mumbled, "Its power is indeed heaven-defying. It can actually compete with my solitaire." After listening to Ningyu, Lu Qiong almost spat out a mouthful of blood. "You call this heaven-defying? I executed the 7th form of the Supreme Nine Purities sword art, while you only executed the 6th form. If this was heaven-defying, then what was not heaven-defying? Cut the crap. You won't be able to escape today." When the primordial qi fragments completely dissipated, Lu Qiong said coldly, "At first, I planned to bring you back to the Supreme Nine Purities temple alive. Now I've changed my mind. I realized that bringing a dead person back isn't a big problem." "You really want to kill me?" Ningyu frowned and said hesitantly. "What? Are you scared? If you're afraid, then hurry up and cripple your own cultivation, then kneel down and kowtow to me a few times. Perhaps I'll spare your life and only cripple you." The corners of Lu Qiong's mouth curled up as she spoke sinisterly. "I think you might have misunderstood. I'm just making sure." Ningyu's expression was emotionless as he said indifferently, "Now that I'm sure that you're determined to kill me, I don't have any concerns anymore." Ha ha ha! Lu Qiong seemed to have heard the funniest joke. She first threw her head back and laughed maniacally before changing the topic and reprimanding, "Whether you have concerns or not has nothing to do with me. Since you don't know what's good for you, I'll send you to heaven." The moment she said the word heaven, Lu Qiong stomped on the ground and dashed out rapidly. Lu Qiong's speed was so fast that there was a sizzling sound when she came into contact with the air. Initially, Ningyu was very close to Lu Qiong. Coupled with Lu Qiong's speed, it only took 3 seconds for Lu Qiong to reach Ningyu. Although the situation was critical for Ningyu, Ningyu still looked calm as though it was not Lu Qiong who was charging at him. The first second, Lu Qiong's speed was extremely fast. The second, Lu Qiong continued to increase her speed. The third second, when the third second arrived, Lu Qiong clenched his fists and punched at Ningyu's head. In order to kill Ningyu with one move, Lu Qiong even wrapped the essence qi in his consciousness see around his fists, causing his fists to make sizzling sounds. This is the moment. As soon as Lu Qiong punched, Ningyu's eyes turned cold and he punched with both of his fists. Bam! When the 4 fists collided, Ningyu and Lu Qiong's eyes narrowed. Subsequently, Lu Qiong took out his flying sword and stabbed at Ningyu's heart. The sound of the flying sword stabbing into flesh was heard. Ha ha ha, you're still too young. Seeing the flying sword stabbing into Ningyu's heart, Lu Qiong threw his head back and laughed. Is that so? Just as Lu Qiong was laughing maniacally, he heard an indifferent voice. Immediately after, Ningyu held the red fiend's sword and stabbed it out. Poof! The same flying sword stabbed into the body, and the same scene was displayed again. However, this time, the one who was stabbed by the flying sword was not Ningyu, but Lu Qiong. Lu Qiong lowered his head and looked at the red flying sword that was stabbed into his heart. Then, he raised his head and pointed at Ningyu, shouting crazily, "Impossible! How is this possible? Haven't you already been stabbed in the heart by my flying sword? How can you still resist?" Lu Qiong could not understand. Logically, a martial artist whose heart was pierced by his king-level flying sword could not possibly have such powerful combat power. "Did you think you stabbed my heart?" Ningyu raised the red fiend's sword in his hand and slashed at the flying sword that was stabbed into his heart right in front of Lu Qiong. Crack! The flying sword was slashed into 2, and Ningyu pulled out the part that was stabbed into his heart. Ding! Throwing the remaining half of the flying sword onto the ground, Ningyu said calmly, "I forgot to tell you that I tilted my body slightly just now, so you did not stab my heart. You..." Poof! Lu Qiong extended his hand and pointed at Ningyu. He wanted to say something cold, but he spat out a mouthful of blood again. His eyes rolled back and he died on the spot. What? Lu Qiong's death was something that He Guan and Zhang Gu could never have imagined. One had to know that Lu Qiong was ranked 4th in the Supreme 9 Purities Temple. The unparalleled genius ranked 4th in the Supreme 9 Purities Temple was actually defeated by an ordinary person from the Xia Kingdom. No, it should be said that he was defeated by the son of a traitor from the Supreme 9 Purities Temple. Shock, fear, annoyance, all kinds of uneasy emotions appeared on He Guan and Zhang Gu's faces. Let's go. After Lu Qiong's death, He Guan knew that he had no chance of survival if he stayed any longer. Staying here would only mean death, but there was still a chance of survival if he ran away. However, He Guan did not run away rashly. He quietly approached Zhang Gu and whispered, "Zhang Gu, I will take the left and you take the right. Let's split up and run." No one noticed that when He Guan was speaking, he quietly threw a storage bag into Zhang Gu's pocket. Split up and run? Zhang Gu frowned. Based on his understanding of He Guan, he knew that He Guan was not that kind. However, with his life hanging by a thread, Zhang Gu couldn't be bothered anymore. He stomped on the ground and quickly ran to the right. Hee, in order to live, I have to wrong you. Chapter 878. Supremacy Yun Tian Crack. The moment the jade tablet shattered, Zhang Gu sensed that something was amiss. However, by the time Zhang Gu reacted, it was already too late. Rumble! The storage bag in his pocket suddenly exploded. The aftermath of the terrifying explosion almost engulfed Zhang Gu in an instant. Then, with Zhang Gu at the center, the shock waves spread out in all directions. Red Fiend, Dark Emperor, seal off the training field. I'll be right back. No matter how terrifying the shockwave of the explosion was, Ningyu did not take it to heart. That was because the Dark Emperor and Red Fiend were very strong and could easily control the shockwave within a certain range. As long as the shockwave did not spread out, it would be fine. Ningyu's focus was on Higuan. Ningyu needed to know clearly who had come to the Supreme Nine Purities Temple and how many supremacies there were. Only then could Ningyu better judge the difference in strength between him and the enemy. Otherwise, he would be blind like a headless fly. What a useless idiot. And he's a genius ranked 4th on the genius roll. To think that he can't even beat that bastard Ningyu. What a disgrace. A disgrace to the Supreme Nine Purities Temple. In a dense forest outside Tianxian City, Higuan appeared out of thin air and spat out a mouthful of saliva. He said coldly, "That bastard might be at the early stage of the manifestation realm like me, but he's much stronger than me. I need to increase my cultivation as soon as possible. Once I advance to mid-stage manifestation realm, I'll immediately seek revenge on him." As he spoke, Higuan fell into deep thought. His cultivation was early-stage manifestation realm. If he wanted to advance to mid-stage manifestation realm in a short period of time, he would need a large amount of resources. Or rather, there was an expert who was willing to imbue him directly. At the thought of this, Higuan revealed a determined look. He took out a scroll from his pocket and burned it. Sizzle! After the scroll was burned, Higuan sat cross-legged on the ground and slowly closed his eyes. Swoosh! When the scroll was burned, a group of dozens of martial artists were advancing rapidly in the depths of the magical beast ridge. Suddenly, the old man in the lead stopped. "Supremacy Yun Tian, did you discover something?" Next to the old man, a slender young man asked doubtfully. "No, I have something to do in Tianxian City. You guys rest here first." The old man waved his hand, then tore open the void and disappeared in the blink of an eye. After the old man left, an early-stage manifestation realm martial artist came to the young man's side and asked with a frown, "Yin Hua, what happened to Venerable Yun Tian?" "Not sure." The young man called Yin Hua shook his head. "Without Sovereign Yun Tian, it will be very difficult for us to continue venturing deeper into the magical beast mountain range," the early-stage creation realm warrior said. "It's fine. Let's wait for now. If Venerable Cloud Sky doesn't return in 3 hours, we'll continue." Yin Hua found a rock to sit on and waved his hand. Seeing this, the rest of the martial artists sat down cross-legged, took out their origin crystals, and began to rest. At first, they thought that there were no powerful demonic beasts in the magical beast mountain range. However, as they ventured deeper, they realized that they were wrong. It wasn't that there weren't any powerful demonic beasts in the magical beast mountain range, it was just that they hadn't reached the deepest region yet. Along the way, they had encountered at least 10 half-step manifestation realm demonic beasts. Furthermore, the deeper they went, the stronger the cultivation of the demonic beast. They could imagine that they would definitely encounter manifestation realm demonic beasts if they continued further. Huff. At the same time, in the dense forest outside of Tianxian City, Higuan opened his eyes and slowly spat out a mouthful of turbid air. "I've finally recovered to my peak state. Now I just have to wait for Venerable Yun Tian to rush over and give me the blessing." Higuan's eyes revealed a smear of viciousness. "Venerable Yun Tian is a first-grade pinnacle human sovereign. After he gives me the blessing, my cultivation will at least reach the middle phase of the manifestation realm, or even the late phase of the manifestation realm. At that time, dealing with those initial phase of the manifestation realm will be a piece of cake, is that so?" Before Higuan's sinister voice could finish, he was interrupted by an indifferent voice. "Who?" With his voice interrupted, Higuan immediately stood up and stared at the void before him. He said in a deep voice, "Don't be sneaky. Come out if you have the ability. As you wish. An indifferent voice resounded once again. Thereafter, a skinny figure appeared before He Guan. Ning Yu. Looking at the familiar figure before him, He Guan's face drastically changed and his body couldn't help trembling. At this moment, He Guan was inwardly regretting. If he had known earlier, he would have stayed further away from Tianxian City. That way, Ning Yu wouldn't have found him so quickly. However, there was no medicine for regret in this world. He Guan could only force himself to calm down and said, "I'll be honest with you. Venerable Yun Tian will be here in 3 minutes. Venerable Yun Tian is a first-grade pinnacle human sovereign. If he comes, you should know the consequences." Are you done? Ning Yu quietly listened to He Guan's narration. After a long while, Ning Yu faintly said, "If you're done, I'd like to ask you a few questions. Venerable Yun Tian will probably take an hour to arrive. I'll calm him down first." He Guan thought inwardly but maintained his composure on the surface. "Ning Yu, we don't actually have any enmity between us. I also don't like Lu Qiong. You've done me a favor by killing him. Firstly, how many people from the Supreme Nine Purities Temple have come to the Great Xia Kingdom? Who are the powerful figures?" Ning Yu couldn't be bothered with He Guan and asked directly. "I'm not sure about the exact number, but there are quite a few powerful figures." He Guan didn't play any tricks and said, "Just the Supremes alone, there are quite a few. Venerable Yun Tian can only be ranked below average among all the Supremes. Aside from the Supremes, there's also a cultivator ranked 3rd on the Supreme Nine Purities Temple's genius ranking, Yin Hua." Yin Hua. Hearing this, Ning Yu knitted his brows and asked, "What's his cultivation?" "I'm not sure. Because in the Supreme Nine Purities Temple, the top 3 martial artists on the genius ranking are all freak." He Guan shook his head and continued, "Lu Qiong is ranked 4th on the genius ranking and is at the early stage of the manifestation realm. But I can tell you very clearly that even 10 Lu Qiong combined wouldn't be a match for Yin Hua. So powerful." Ning Yu's heart skipped a beat. Lu Qiong's strength was still very strong. Looking at He Guan's facial expression, he didn't seem to be lying. 10 Lu Qiong wouldn't be a match for Yin Hua. It was imaginable how terrifying Yin Hua's strength was. At the very least, the current Ning Yu couldn't contend against him. It seems like the early stage of the manifestation realm is far from enough. Ning Yu took a deep breath and said to himself. After advancing to the early stage of the manifestation realm, Ning Yu's strength had a qualitative leap. Even if he were to face a half-step supremacy realm cultivator, he would be able to kill him easily. However, there was always someone better out there. He had to increase his strength as soon as possible. Good chance. Chapter 879. Triple Birth Palm. Chapter 879. Inch Explode. As soon as the storage bag was thrown out, He Guan crushed the jade pendant in the bag and bellowed. Boom. As soon as He Guan finished his sentence, the storage bag exploded. "Let's go." The explosion of the storage bag created a powerful shockwave that spread in all directions. He Guan seized the opportunity and fled into the distance at an astonishing speed. "Hee, you don't see me as a human? You have to pay the price." He Guan laughed sinisterly as he fled. To He Guan's knowledge, no matter how powerful Ning Yu was, he would not be unscathed. He Guan's idea was simple. He would escape from this area first and return after the shockwave of the explosion dissipated. At the center of the explosion, Ning Yu focused his eyes. The vitality in his consciousness surged out and formed a vitality shield around him. Crack! Although the vitality in Ning Yu's consciousness was very rich, He Guan had thrown out too many storage bags, causing the explosion to be extremely powerful. Even though Ning Yu resisted with all his might, he could only hold on for a short while. Crack, crack, crack. The crisp cracking sounds became more and more rapid. In the end, the vitality shield around Ning Yu was completely destroyed. Damn it! Seeing the vitality shield shattering, Ning Yu cursed and hurriedly released his early stage rank 7 soul power. TSK. TSK. The soul power formed a defensive line and withstood the shockwave of the explosion. Phew! After about 10 minutes, Ning Yu let out a long sigh of relief. That was close. Fortunately, his soul power had advanced to early stage rank 7. Otherwise, this explosion would have been enough to severely injure Ning Yu. I was too careless. Ning Yu narrowed his eyes. He did not chase after He Guan. Instead, he found a secluded place nearby and began to recuperate. My cultivation is now at the early stage manifestation realm. It will be difficult for me to advance to the mid-stage manifestation realm in a short period of time. If I want to improve my strength, I have to cultivate the netherworld samsara palm. Up until now, Ning Yu had already cultivated the netherworld samsara palm to the 7th move, the palm of life and death. With the increase of his cultivation and soul power, the life and death palm had already fallen behind. Therefore, Ning Yu decided to cultivate the 8th style of the netherworld samsara palm, the 3 lives palm. As the name implied, the 3 lives palm could split into 3 and attack the enemy from 3 different directions. The 3 lives palm had a higher requirement for soul energy. One had to be at the peak of rank 6 in order to practice it. Ning Yu's soul strength had reached the early stage of level 7. Coupled with his strong perception, it was not very difficult for him to cultivate 3 lives palm. After about half an hour, Ning Yu suddenly opened his eyes and pushed out his right hand quickly. Rumble! In a split second, a terrifying palm print peeled off from Ning Yu's palm. Whoosh! 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 In midair, the palm print split into 3 and exploded again. Boom! 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 Hiss! Looking at the 3 palm prints exploding in midair, Ning Yu's eyes narrowed and he gasped. The 8th style of the netherworld samsara palm was indeed powerful. Even one of the palm prints was much more powerful than the palm of life and death. Most importantly, if the 3 palm prints were combined, the power would be heaven-defying. Furthermore, Ning Yu hadn't poured his 7th grade soul force into the 3 births palm. Once he poured his 7th grade soul force into his palm and combined it with his yuan qi, the might of the 3 births palm would be enough to easily kill an ordinary half-step supreme being. It has only been an hour. I can go back now, after resting for a few minutes, when the vitality in his sea of consciousness had recovered by 2/3, Ning Yu stood up and wanted to return to Tianxian City. If He Guan wanted to run in an hour, he would definitely be very far away. If he wanted to chase after him now, it would be very difficult. Rather than wasting time, he might as well return to Tianxian City and work hard to improve his strength. Go back? Where do you want to go? However, just as Ning Yu stood up and was about to leave, an indifferent voice rang in his ears. Hearing this, Ning Yu frowned slightly and said in a deep voice, "Come out." Buzz buzz. The space in front of Ning Yu was torn apart and a young man gradually appeared. He Guan. Seeing the martial artist that appeared from the void, Ning Yu was stunned at first, then he revealed a joyful expression. You could have taken the road to heaven, but you chose to barge into hell. Are you sure you're talking about me? He Guan pointed at his nose and said hesitantly, If I'm not wrong, you only have 20% of your combat power left. I don't deny that you were very powerful at your peak, but I can defeat you with one hand now. The ignorant are fearless. Ning Yu could not be bothered to talk nonsense with He Guan. Earlier, he did not kill He Guan and let him escape. This time, Ning Yu would not hold back. 3 lives palm. Coincidentally, Ning Yu had cultivated the 3 lives palm. He directly injected the primordial qi in his sea of consciousness into his palm and instantly blasted out a palm print. Swoosh! The palm-sized palm print drew an arc in the air and headed straight for He Guan. You want to kill me with a mere palm print? Have you lost your mind? Seeing the palm print that was constantly attacking him, He Guan's lips curled up slightly and he smiled sinisterly. Since you've lost your mind, I'll treat it for you. He Guan's imagination was too optimistic. As the palm print got closer and closer to him, the smile on his face became less and less. Finally, it stopped. Puff. A muffled sound was heard. 5 blood-red palm prints appeared on He Guan's face. As for He Guan's body, it was like a kite with a broken string, falling straight backward. Crack! He hit a towering tree and the huge tree was snapped in half. He Guan spat out a mouthful of blood and his face was ashen. You should be grateful to me. Ning Yu's figure flashed and appeared in front of He Guan in the blink of an eye. Fortunately, I held back at the critical moment. Otherwise, you'd have been sent to hell. The 3 lives palm was extremely powerful. If Ning Yu used his full strength, He Guan might not even be left with a piece of him. The reason why He Guan was not killed on the spot was that Ning Yu did not wrap his soul force around his palm and did not cause the 3 lives palm to explode. Otherwise, even 10 He Guan would not be able to survive. Humph. Don't be too proud. Supremacy Yuntian will be here in 3 minutes at most. Even if you kill me, you won't be able to bear the consequences. He Guan snorted coldly. He was not afraid of Ning Yu at all. You still dare to be stubborn when you're about to die? Originally, Ning Yu wanted to spare He Guan's life. At the very least, he wanted to force out the main intention of the Supreme Nine Purities Temple. Ning Yu did not believe that the people of the Supreme Nine Purities Temple would come to the Great Xia Kingdom just to find him. However, since He Guan did not know what was good for him, Ning Yu finally decided to kill him. With a flick of his wrist, Ning Yu took out the red demon sword and slashed at He Guan's head. What kind of demon is this? How dare you kill He Guan? I think you're tired of living. If you know what's good for you, stop now. Otherwise, I'll make sure you have nowhere to go. Chapter 880. Chapter 880. Death, Venerable Yun Tian, save me. Hearing this loud shout, He Guan hurriedly shouted, Save you? Ning Yu's face turned cold as he continued, The Venerable Yun Tian that you speak of is at least 30 seconds away. 30 seconds is more than enough for me to kill you. As he spoke, the red demon's sword in Ning Yu's hand swiftly slashed down. You can't kill me, you can't. Looking at the flying sword that was constantly approaching him, He Guan screamed like a madman. Poof! However, He Guan had only shouted halfway when he suddenly stopped. Blood splattered everywhere. He Guan, who was lying on the ground, widened his eyes. Even in death, He Guan couldn't understand why Ning Yu was so daring. Venerable Yun Tian was a pinnacle grade 1 sovereign. Even if Ning Yu tried his best to escape, he wouldn't be able to escape. He Guan could only slowly think about it in hell. Damn it! Not far from Ning Yu, Venerable Yun Tian felt that He Guan had been killed. He instantly flew into a rage out of humiliation and ignited his blood essence to increase his speed. Rustle! The distance of 30 seconds was forcefully shortened to 10 seconds by Venerable Yun Tian. 10 seconds later, Venerable Yun Tian arrived in this region. You're very confident and arrogant. Sweeping a glance at He Guan's corpse, Venerable Yun Tian's gaze fell onto Ning Yu. Do you know He Guan's identity? So what if I do? So what if I don't? Ning Yu faintly replied. Clap, clap. Venerable Yun Tian clapped his hands and said, I like people like you. Ning Yu looked at Venerable Yun Tian in disgust. I'm sorry, but I don't have gay hobbies. Humph. He Guan has a high-rank human sovereign backing him up in the Supreme Nine Purities Temple. Now that you've killed him, no one in this world can save you. Venerable Yun Tian coldly snorted. Oh, may I ask if Lu Qiong has any backing in the Supreme Nine Purities Temple? Ning Yu asked. Lu Qiong? His father is the 6th Grand Elder of the Supreme Nine Purities Temple. Supremacy Cloud Sky said coldly. Mu Tian's father is the fifth supreme elder of the Supreme Nine Purities Temple, and Lu Qiong's father is the sixth supreme elder of the Supreme Nine Purities Temple. He Guan has the backing of a high-level human sovereign. Am I destined to go against the Supreme Nine Purities Temple? Ningyu frowned and murmured. During this period of time, Ningyu could be said to have killed many people. However, every time Ningyu killed someone, he felt very helpless. Mu Tian had caused trouble for him time and time again, so he had to kill him to vent his anger. Lu Qiong also wanted to kill him, otherwise she would not have died. What are you mumbling about? Don't worry. Even though you killed He Guan, I won't kill you on the spot. Supremacy Cloud Sky said coldly. I will bring you back to the Supreme Nine Purities Temple and hand you over to He Guan's backing to kill you. But even though you can escape death, you cannot avoid suffering. You want to die? Ningyu interrupted Supremacy Cloud Sky and faintly said, If you want to fight, then fight. What's with all the nonsense? Crack. Supremacy Cloud Sky never imagined that Ningyu would dare to speak to him in this manner. Instantly, his entire body emitted cracking sounds. Swish. In the next moment, Supremacy Cloud Sky stomped on the ground and made his move. Come at me. Life-death palm. Seeing that Supremacy Cloud Sky was enraged, Ningyu's left fist turned into a palm and he threw out a palm print. The reason why Ningyu chose to enrage Supremacy Cloud Sky was because cultivators would easily lose their rationality when they were enraged. Otherwise, why would Ningyu be so foolish as to provoke Supremacy Cloud Sky? You're seeking death. Supremacy Cloud Sky flicked his wrist and threw out a backhand palm print, which clashed with Ningyu's palm print. When the two palm prints clashed, Ningyu's palm print dissipated as expected. Chi. Supremacy Cloud Sky's palm print continued to exert force. In the blink of an eye, it arrived beside Ningyu and landed on Ningyu's chest. Bang! When the palm print landed, Ningyu's body flew back. I can kill a mere early-stage manifestation realm cultivator with a flick of my finger. You're lucky today. I only have 50% of my strength left. Otherwise, you would have died a horrible death. Supremacy Cloud Sky said indifferently after forcing Ningyu back with one move. Only 50% of your strength? Hearing this, Ningyu's eyes turned, and the essence in his palm instantly dissipated. This is a rare opportunity. I can't miss it. Practically in an instant, Ningyu decided to fight Supremacy Cloud Sky to the death. In the beginning, Ningyu wanted to take advantage of Supremacy Cloud Sky's carelessness to heavily injure him. But now, Ningyu changed his mind. I'll take your life while you're down. Ningyu wanted to kill Supremacy Cloud Sky when he only had 50% of his strength left. Thinking about it, Ningyu immediately summoned all the essence in his sea of consciousness and wrapped it around his palm. Thereafter, Ningyu quietly summoned his initial 7th grade soul force and hid it under his essence. Ha ha ha, not to mention that you only have 50% of your strength left. Even if you're at your peak, I can still easily kill you. Ningyu did not attack immediately because he wanted to determine how much strength Supremacy Cloud Sky had left. If Supremacy Cloud Sky was lying, wouldn't he be in trouble? You're testing me? Venerable Yun Tian's brows twitched as he sinisterly said, That's useless. I'm a pinnacle first-grade sovereign, and even 30% of my strength is enough to kill you. Who doesn't know how to talk big? Take this. Ningyu let out a low growl and dashed out. Chi. In order to heavily injure or even kill Supremacy Yun Tian, Ningyu had used a secret technique to hide his essence energy and soul power in his palm. At the same time, Ningyu said arrogantly, Venerable Yun Tian, although you're a pinnacle first-grade human sovereign with a higher cultivation than me, you don't have to worry. You can bring out your full strength. Otherwise, it'll be embarrassing if you lose. Arrogant. The facts proved that Ningyu had really angered Supremacy Yun Tian. Originally, Supremacy Cloud Sky could only display 50% of his strength. After being enraged, He only used 30% of his strength to fight Ningyu. 3 lives palm. It was a rare opportunity that Ningyu couldn't let go of. Before his palm could collide with Supremacy Cloud Sky, Ningyu quickly waved his palm and a huge palm print flew out of his palm. Rustle! 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 The palm print first split into 3, then the 3 palm prints merged together and collided with Supremacy Cloud Sky's palm print. Explode! Along with Ningyu's roar, an earth-shattering explosion resounded in this region. Rumble! With Supremacy Yun-Tian at the center, the terrifying explosive force constantly spread out. Clang! Ningyu's face turned grave as he retreated and forced out several drops of blood essence to form a defensive line around him. Crack! 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 All the trees in the surroundings were uprooted. It was so much so that even the air was being squeezed out, leaving a vacuum in the middle. Chapter 881. Not an impatient character, damn it. This is infuriating. Venerable Yun-Tian was furious and vexed at the same time. If he knew that Ningyu's palm could explode and possess such a powerful might, he wouldn't have acted so arrogantly. He was originally only left with 50% of his strength. Now that he had used 30% of his strength, it would naturally be hard for him to withstand the explosion of the palm. But fortunately, Venerable Yun-Tian possessed the powerful perception of a pinnacle first-grade sovereign. Otherwise, the explosion of the 3 palm prints would be enough to send him to heaven. Poof! But even so, Venerable Yun-Tian spat out a mouthful of blood before he felt a little better. Brat, you better not let me see you again. Otherwise, I will grind your bones into ashes. Venerable Yun-Tian wiped the blood off the corner of his lips as he clenched his fist. You want to grind my bones into ashes? When Venerable Yun-Tian finished his words, Ningyu flew over from afar. Seeing Ningyu before him, Venerable Yun-Tian's heart jolted. He knew that the situation wasn't good. Venerable Yun-Tian had used all his trump cards to withstand the explosion of the palm prints. His strength had dropped from 50% to less than 10%. Venerable Yun-Tian knew his limit. He knew that it was tough for him to be Ningyu's opponent in his current state. Thus, he could only stabilize Ningyu before thinking of a way to leave. Pinnacle first-grade sovereign. Ningyu didn't seem to know that Venerable Yun-Tian was trying to stall for time as he faintly said, although you have the qualifications to be arrogant, you only have 50% of your strength left. Stop acting. In this world, there's always someone stronger. You think that you have me in your grasp. Venerable Yun-Tian's face was emotionless as he continued, no matter what, I'm still a pinnacle first-grade sovereign. My trump cards are not something that you can imagine. I know that pinnacle first-grade sovereigns have many trump cards. Ningyu nodded his head, agreeing with Venerable Yun-Tian's words. However, suddenly, Ningyu changed the topic and continued, I dare to guarantee that you don't have any more trump cards left. Ah! Venerable Cloud Sky acted as if he had heard the funniest joke in the world. After letting out a wild laugh, he said coldly, Little bastard, any one of my trump cards is enough to kill you. The reason you haven't attacked me is definitely because you are afraid of my trump card. Ningyu looked at Yun-Tian like he was looking at a fool. He said indifferently, You misunderstand. I'm not afraid of your trump card. I'm just preparing something. Whoosh. With that, Ningyu flicked his wrist and drew out the red demon sword. This flying sword is, looking at the red flying sword in Ningyu's hand, Yun-Tian opened his mouth in disbelief. It's just as you thought, it's a monarch-rank flying sword. Ningyu said as he waved the red demon sword in his hand. As soon as the word sword was uttered, Ningyu's figure flickered and dashed out like a bolt of lightning. Ningyu's speed was very fast, and he arrived in front of Supremacy Cloud Sky almost instantly. Not good. Supremacy Cloud Sky's expression changed drastically. Right now, he only had about 10% of his combat power left. Facing Ning Yu at his peak with only 10% of his combat power was a dead end. It was said that ordinary people could erupt with terrifying combat power in a desperate situation. Supremacy Cloud Sky was a pinnacle first-grade human sovereign, and he had an extremely terrifying combat power. In a split second, Supremacy Cloud Sky blasted out a terrifying fist radiance. Chi. However, even with Supremacy Cloud Sky's terrifying combat power, he could only hold a grudge against the Monarch rank Red Demon Sword. The Red Demon Sword easily dispersed the fist aura that Cloud Sky Supremacy had unleashed. Then, under Cloud Sky Supremacy's horrified gaze, it stabbed into his heart. The sound of a flying sword piercing into flesh resounded. Looking down at the blood-red flying sword in his heart, Supremacy Cloud Sky felt that the vitality in his body was decreasing at an alarming rate. It felt like something was rapidly devouring his essence chi. Your flying sword is actually a devouring flying sword. Supremacy Cloud Sky tried his best to restrain the loss of vitality in his body, but unfortunately, he didn't have much strength left. He could only watch helplessly as his vitality entered the Red Demon Sword. You're right. This flying sword is a devouring flying sword. Moreover, it's a dual devouring flying sword that devours vitality and souls. Ning Yu didn't hide it from Supremacy Cloud Sky and said indifferently. Supremacy Cloud Sky was originally a little vexed. Now that he heard Ning Yu's words, he was so angry that his lungs were about to explode. It was a pity. Supremacy Cloud Sky didn't have the chance to continue fighting with Ning Yu. With his heart pierced and the rapid loss of vitality, Supremacy Cloud Sky only lasted for 3 minutes before his eyes rolled back and he died on the spot. He actually lasted for 3 minutes. It seems like I have to be very careful when facing Supremacy Cloud Sky in the future. Ning Yu didn't expect that Supremacy Cloud Sky could last for 3 minutes after his heart was pierced. One must know that the warriors that Ning Yu killed in the past would die immediately as long as their hearts were pierced. The fact that Supremacy Cloud Sky could last for so long also gave Ning Yu a wake-up call. In the future, he had to be very careful when facing Supremacy Cloud Sky or warriors of higher realms. There might be people who could still be lively after their hearts were pierced and their heads were chopped off. Supremacy Cloud Sky is a peak Grade 1 supremacy. After the Red Demon Sword devours and refines him, it should be able to help the Red Demon advance to the creation realm. The Dark Emperor and Harry Ball were in the early stage creation realm. Only the Red Demon Sword was still in the Yin-Yang realm. The Red Demon had been with Ning Yu for a long time and was always at the front. Ning Yu couldn't let his cultivation be at the back. About 10 minutes later, the Red Demon Sword devoured all the vitality and soul force in Supremacy Cloud Sky's body. Ning Yu slowly came to Supremacy Cloud Sky's side and started searching. Only 1 million Royal Grade Essence Crystals? Supremacy Cloud Sky was a peak Grade 1 supremacy. He might have some good treasures on him. After a while, Ning Yu found a storage bag. He used his perception and entered the storage bag. Although there were a lot of essence crystals in the storage bag, it didn't match Supremacy Cloud Sky's status at all. Let's search again. Ning Yu didn't give up and continued searching. A minute later, Ning Yu took a golden box from Supremacy Cloud Sky's waist. The box was square and had a total of 6 sides. There was a key on each side. There are so many keys. Could there be some heaven-defying treasure inside? Ning Yu frowned slightly and tried to open the box. After a while, Ning Yu chose to give up for the time being. I'll try to open it after I return to Tianxian City. I have to clean up the battlefield now. Ning Yu wasn't an impatient person. He was very steady and rarely made mistakes. Ning Yu didn't even let go of Higuan's things. He put them together with the things he found on Supremacy Cloud Sky's body into the storage bag. Afterward, Ning Yu carefully disposed of Supremacy Cloud Sky and Higuan's corpses and tried to restore everything to its original state. Chapter 882. Initiation. Tianchuan City, Ning family. After the battle, the Ning family seemed very quiet. In order to prevent the members of the family from being hurt again, the acting head of the Ning family, Ning Tang, announced that no one was allowed to leave the Ning family without permission. At this time, in the conference hall of the Ning family, Ning He sat at the head of the table. Below, the Dark Emperor Liu Wei, Hong Mo, and the others sat on the right. On the left were Ning Tang and the younger generation of the Ning family. The hall was unprecedentedly gloomy, and no one spoke first. Ahem. After a quarter of an hour, Ning Tang coughed twice and broke the silence. He said to Ning He, Patriarch, do you think we should send someone to look for Ningyu? Several hours had passed since Ningyu left. Ningyu had not returned for such a long time, so Ning Tang was inevitably worried. How about this? I'll leave all the matters of the Ning family to you. I'll look for you myself. Ning He said after pondering for a moment. Patriarch, the Ning family can't do without you. In my opinion, I'll look for Ningyu. You stay, Ning Tang said with a frown. There's no need to say anything. I've made up my mind. Ning He waved his hand and said, I say, can we stop for a while? At this moment, the Dark Emperor rolled his eyes and said, Ningyu's strength is not something you can figure out. Besides, that He Guan is only at the early stage of the manifestation realm. I can kill a martial artist of this level with one move. Although Ningyu is slightly weaker than me, it's not a problem for him to deal with He Guan. Hiss. Hearing this, everyone in the Ning family in the hall gasped. Killing an early-stage manifestation realm martial artist with one move? That was too terrifying. What you need to do now is to wait. The Dark Emperor was very satisfied with the reaction of the Ning family, and continued, Your cultivation is too low, the higher ones are only in the Yuan Dan realm, the true martial realm, the lower ones are only in the Hotian realm, the body-tempering realm? He's worlds apart from Ningyu. The faces of the Ning family darkened. Originally, the fact that a dog could speak human language had already shocked them, but this dog was also very arrogant, which really made them speechless. I wonder what is Ningyu's cultivation? Ning Tang said hesitantly. Create. The Dark Emperor opened his mouth, but just as he was about to speak, he stopped abruptly. He glanced at the entrance of the hall and said, He's here, ask him yourself. Whoosh. When the Dark Emperor's voice rang out, a skinny figure suddenly appeared at the entrance of the hall. Ningyu. Without a doubt, the thin figure at the entrance of the hall was Ningyu. Because of what the Dark Emperor had just said, the younger generation of the Ning family all looked at Ningyu in admiration. Grandfather, have you recovered from your injuries? Ignoring the gazes of the crowd, Ningyu went straight to Ning He's side and asked. Although Ningyu could use his perception to probe Ning He's body, and Ning He would definitely not be able to discover it, but Ningyu did not intend to do so. After all, Ning He was his grandfather in this life, and it would be unfilial of him to do so. All right, it's all thanks to your friend's help. Ning He's face revealed a smile as he pointed at the Red Devil and said, Why didn't you say it was me? I helped too. Ning He only mentioned the Red Devil and not the Dark Emperor, causing the Dark Emperor's face to be filled with displeasure. Go to the side. Ningyu glared at the Dark Emperor fiercely and then said in a clear voice, What happened to the Ning family this time was purely accidental, there is no need to panic. I will stay in the Ning family for a few days. In these few days, I will take out an hour every day to explain the confusion of alchemy and martial arts. If there's nothing else, let's disperse. See you tomorrow morning at the Ning family's martial arts field. No matter what, Ningyu came from the Ning family, so it was natural for him to help the younger generation of the Ning family. Hearing Ningyu's words, the younger generation of the Ning family looked at Ningyu gratefully, and then left one by one. Dark Emperor, you guys can leave first. I have something to talk to grandfather about alone. Seeing that the Dark Emperor and the rest were still untactfully staying here, Ningyu said indifferently. If you want to leave, then leave. What kind of good place do you think this is? The Dark Emperor rolled his eyes, and then he left the hall without looking back. Lu Wei, the Red Devil, and the others also bade farewell to Ning Yu. Even Ning Tang and the other elders of the Ning family left obediently. In an instant, the conference hall changed from a lot of people to just Ning Yu and Ning He. Whoosh! In order to prevent the conversation from being eavesdropped, Ning Yu waved his hand, and suddenly a wave of primordial qi flew out, completely sealing the hall. Is your cultivation really at the creation realm? Feeling the terrifying primordial qi leaking out of Ning Yu's every move, Ning He asked in surprise. More or less. Afraid that Ning He would overthink, Ning Yu did not tell him directly, but changed the topic. Grandfather, is there any news of my father recently? Your father? Ning He frowned slightly and shook his head. I haven't heard from him since he left the Ning family. It seems that he really went to the Supreme Nine Purities Temple. Thinking of what he had heard in the Magical Beast Mountain Range, Ning Yu took a deep breath, vaguely feeling that something was wrong. Back then, Ning Yu did not know Ning Hai's specific cultivation. Now that he thought about it, he could clearly judge that Ning Hai's cultivation was at the peak of the Yin-Yang realm at that time. Going to the Supreme Nine Purities Temple with the cultivation of the peak of the Yin-Yang realm? It was tantamount to seeking death. After pondering for a moment, Ning Yu said, Grandfather, your cultivation is at the early primordial core realm, not too far from the middle primordial core realm. Let me help you. As he spoke, Ning Yu waved his hands repeatedly and suddenly patted Ning He's back. Buzz. Wisps of primordial qi flowed through Ning Yu's palm into Ning He's back, and then into Ning He's consciousness. Empowerment. Ning He's aptitude was not very good. In theory, it was difficult for him to make any more achievements in his lifetime. Therefore, Ning Yu chose the most direct and violent way to improve his strength, empowerment. I'm an old man, At first, Ning He did not know what Ning Yu was going to do, but when he reacted, he hurriedly said. Using empowerment on him was a complete waste of resources. Bang! However, before Ning He finished speaking, he felt a muffled sound in his consciousness. The middle primordial core realm. At this moment, Ning He broke through the limit of the early primordial core realm and advanced to the middle primordial core realm. Again, since it was empowerment, Ning Yu would certainly not only help Ning He advance from the early primordial core realm to the middle primordial core realm. Next, regardless of Ning He's dissuasion, Ning Yu continued to increase his strength and transferred primordial qi to Ning He. Time passed by minute by minute. In the blink of an eye, 3 hours had passed. Bang! Bang! In these 3 hours, 2 more muffled sounds came from Ning He's consciousness. The peak of the primordial core realm. After 3 hours of continuous empowerment, Ning He finally reached the peak of the primordial core realm. As for Ning Yu, he was sweating profusely, and even his breath was a little weak. Crack! Chapter 883. Rushing Thunderhand. Chapter 883 Thunderhand. This. Ning He was originally very shocked when he advanced to the peak of the primal core realm. However, when he found out that Ning Yu took out the royal grade essence crystal, he was immediately stunned. That was a royal grade essence crystal. Ning Yu just threw it into his mouth and chewed it like that? Could it be that Ning Yu was not afraid of bursting his stomach? A series of questions rose in Ning He's mind, causing his expression to be very strange. Phew! Perhaps seeing the change in Ning He's expression, Ning Yu let out a long breath and said, Grandfather, it's best not to tell anyone about me giving you the blessing. Gulp. Ning He swallowed a mouthful of saliva and said, Don't worry, I will never let a third person know. Swish. Ning Yu flicked his sleeves, and a storage bag immediately flew towards Ning He. Puff. Seeing Ning He catch the storage bag, Ning Yu continued, You can keep the essence crystals inside. If it's not enough, find me again. As he spoke, Ning Yu's figure flashed and instantly left the main hall. Looking at Ning Yu's departing figure, he slightly exerted his perception and entered the storage bag to probe. This probe directly made He dumbfounded. The essence crystals in the storage bag were not few, but a lot. There were a total of 10,000 royal-grade essence crystals. If He knew that Ning Yu originally intended to give him 100,000 royal-grade essence crystals, he would probably be so surprised that he couldn't even speak. Ning Yu did not alarm anyone. He first disguised himself and then left the Ning family and strolled on the streets of Tianxian City. There are really more and more experts. Feeling the terrifying aura emitted from the martial artists around him, Ning Yu's expression became solemn. Compared to the capital of the Great Xia Kingdom, Tianxian City was just a small place. But it was in such a small place that there were many powerful experts. In the current Tianxian City, the true martial realm could only be described as low strength. The primal core realm was considered to have reached a higher level, but there were still many of them. Only by reaching the yin-yang realm would one be able to gain a firm foothold in Tianxian City and not be bullied by others. I wonder why so many people have gathered in profound Heaven City. After pondering for a while, Ning Yu decided to go to the restaurant. Usually, the news in the restaurant was the fastest and most timely. There were all kinds of people there. "Sir, this way please." As soon as Ning Yu stepped into the restaurant, a waiter greeted him and said, "It just so happens that there's only one seat left. What a coincidence that you've come. Give me a few dishes." Ning Yu followed the manservant to a seat near the window and sat down. He casually tossed a few gold coins to the manservant and said, "Sir, this restaurant doesn't accept gold coins." The attendant revealed a troubled expression and hesitated. "No gold coins?" Ning Yu raised his eyebrows and asked doubtfully. "That's right. From 3 days ago, this restaurant only accepts origin crystals." The waiter took a closer look at Ning Yu and said, "You may not know this, but the ingredients of this restaurant are all demonic beasts. It's very difficult to capture them, so the lowest requirement is low-grade origin crystals. Waiter, quickly prepare 5 caddies of running bull beast thigh meat. We want to drink a cup." At this moment, a group of 4 to 5 people stepped into the restaurant shouting. One of the burly men was carrying a gold coin tiger on his shoulder. From the looks of it, he had just killed it. Seeing this, the waiter did not dare to delay. He hurried to the burly man and said apologetically, "I'm sorry, there are no more seats in Scattered Flower House. The last seat has just been—" "What?" The burly man slammed the gold coin tiger on his shoulder onto the ground and shouted, "You're telling me there are no more seats?" After being yelled at by the burly man, the waiter spat out a mouthful of fresh blood and his body swayed. The waiter was only a Khanate stage martial artist, while the burly man was a peak primal core stage martial artist. There was no comparison between the two. The waiter was already very lucky that he did not die from the roar. Whoever has taken the last seat, if you know what's good for you, get out of my way. Otherwise, don't blame me for being rude." The burly man snorted coldly, his gaze moving around the restaurant. Swoosh. At that moment, everyone's gaze turned to Ning Yu. Bang. The burly man slammed his palm on the table in front of Ning Yu and said coldly, "Don't you understand human language? Get out of my way, or else don't blame me for being rude. Hey, hurry up and leave." Thunder Hand Wentai is a peak primal core stage martial artist. His strength is unparalleled. You are no match for him. That's right. Don't underestimate Wentai just because he is a peak primal core stage martial artist. He is fearless even when up against an early yin-yang stage martial artist. Kid, if you leave now, you still have a way out. Otherwise, no one will be able to protect you. The sounds of discussion that reached his ears caused the corners of Wentai's mouth to curl up, as if he was the most powerful person in the world. Get out. Ning Yu's face was expressionless as he uttered a single word. Whoosh. At that moment, all the martial artists in the restaurant put down their chopsticks and looked at the skinny figure in shock. Daring to tell Thunder Hand Wentai to get out? Either he was strong or he was stupid. Obviously, everyone thought that Ningyu was the latter. This was because the aura that Ningyu exuded was only that of an early primal core stage martial artist. No one believed that an early primal core stage martial artist like Ningyu was Wentai's match. Ha ha ha! Hearing Ningyu's words, Wentai was stunned at first, then he threw his head back and laughed. After laughing, Wentai unleashed the aura of a peak primal core stage martial artist and suddenly pressed towards Ningyu. Kid, how dare you go against me? No one in this world can save you. Feeling the aura of a peak primal core stage martial artist coming towards him, Ningyu merely frowned and did not react. More accurately, Ningyu did not want to lower himself to Wentai's level. At that moment, Ningyu's attention was completely focused on one of the rooms on the second floor of the restaurant. From within the room, Ningyu felt an extremely terrifying aura. An expert, an absolute expert. Ningyu took a deep breath and his expression became serious. Ningyu, please come up for a chat. At that moment, a calm voice reached Ningyu's ears. Hearing this, Ningyu's brows furrowed and he fell into deep thought. Everyone's jaws dropped, completely dumbfounded. The person you are fighting is a peak primal core stage martial artist, and you have no reaction at all? Kid, you have completely infuriated me. Being ignored by Ningyu, Wentai snorted and immediately clenched his right hand into a fist, viciously punching towards Ningyu's head. As if he could see the horrible scene of Ningyu's brain exploding, Wentai laughed sinisterly and said, "Offending me, the Thunder Hand Wentai, I will make sure you have nowhere to go." The difference between ideals and reality was often only a distance of a cold ray of light. Bang! Ningyu flicked his finger and instantly a cold ray of light flew out and hit Wentai's chest. The huge force that came from his chest caused Wentai's body to fly several meters away. Fresh blood spurted out, and Wentai's face was extremely pale. Whoosh! At that moment the entire restaurant was so quiet that even breathing could be heard clearly. Chapter 884. The Saintess. Creak, creak. Ignoring the exclamations of the crowd, Ningyu walked straight to the door and pushed it open. There were a total of 2 martial artists in the room. One was an old man and the other was a young woman. The old man's sideburns were white and there was nothing special about him. The young woman was beautiful, no different from Lu Wei. The old man's body seemed to be wrapped in something. Even with Ningyu's superb perception, he could only vaguely feel that the old man's cultivation was at the supreme realm. As for the young woman, her cultivation was even more vague. At first glance, the young woman seemed very ordinary. But upon closer inspection, she wasn't ordinary at all. "Haha, welcome, welcome." Seeing Ningyu walk in, the young woman faintly smiled and said, "Let me introduce myself. You can call me Yunmu. This is Supreme Talisman Marshal." The young woman pointed at the old man. Ningyu didn't speak. He only quietly listened. Ningyu was very clear that since Yunmu called him over, there must be something he wanted to say. And the facts proved that Ningyu's guess was correct. Yunmu said, "You must be wondering why I know your name. I'm not afraid to tell you that I come from the 9-Furnace Divine Pavilion." Hearing this, Ningyu's heart skipped a beat. But on the surface, he still maintained a calm and indifferent appearance. Seeing Ningyu's reaction, Yunmu couldn't help but look at Ningyu in a higher light. He slowly said, "The 9-Furnace Divine Pavilion has a total of 9 major branches. The ones that have a grudge with you are only the 7th, 8th, and 9th branches. Don't beat around the bush. If you have something to say, just say it." Ningyu waved his hand, indicating that Yunmu didn't need to beat around the bush. They were all smart people. If they continued to beat around the bush, it would be a waste of time. "You really are straightforward." Yunmu's red lips parted. I am a genius of the 9-furnace divine pavilion's first branch. To be more accurate, I am the 9-furnace divine pavilion's first branch's saintess. Saintess? I don't think that has anything to do with me. Ningyu frowned. The past indeed has nothing to do with you. Yunmu faintly smiled. Then, he changed the topic and said, but after you killed Gu Yuan and the others, we became related. What does it matter? Ningyu said calmly. You might not know, but the 7th to 9th branches of the 9-furnace divine pavilion all listened to Zhu Zhen's orders. You killing Gu Yuan and the others is the same as cutting off one of Zhu Zhen's arms. Do you think that Zhu Zhen won't look for trouble with you? Yunmu explained. Who is Zhu Zhen? Ningyu was puzzled. Zhu Zhen is a genius of the 9-furnace divine pavilion's first branch. He is also the first branch's saint's son. In the 9-furnace divine pavilion, there is a rule that every branch's saintess must unconditionally marry a saint's son when they are 20 years old. Yunmu continued. I got it. Ningyu nodded and murmured. Yunmu had already made it very clear. Even if Ningyu was a pig, he would still be able to guess the ins and outs of the matter. Zhu Zhen and Yunmu were respectively the 9-furnace divine pavilion's first branch's saint's son and saintess. Among them, Zhu Zhen secretly controlled the 9-furnace divine pavilion's 7th, 8th, and 9th branches. Ningyu had killed many geniuses of the 9-furnace divine pavilion's 7th to 9th branches. Naturally, he had formed a grudge with Zhu Zhen. If I'm not wrong, then Miss Yunmu also has a grudge with Zhu Zhen. Ningyu lightly said, as the saying goes, the enemy of an enemy is a friend. That's why you came looking for me. But, I have a little doubt. How did you know that I would definitely agree? Because you have no other choice. Yunmu said, Zhu Zhen has already personally issued the 9 cauldrons killing order. You might not be aware of it, but I can tell you clearly that Zhu Zhen once issued the 9 cauldrons killing order to a 2nd-grade mortal sovereign. That 2nd-grade mortal sovereign only lived for half a month before meeting the King of Hell. After a slight hesitation, Ningyu calmly said, What do you want me to do? I want you to pretend to be my boyfriend. Yunmu smiled. Yunmu's request was very funny, but Ningyu couldn't bring himself to laugh. You're forcing me onto a dead end. Ningyu found a chair and sat down. He placed his hands behind his head and lightly said, Ningyu wasn't a hothead. Since Yunmu had found him, he must have investigated his movements during this period of time. Perhaps Yunmu even knew his true strength. If he agreed to Yunmu's request at this time, it would be the same as becoming enemies with the 9-furnace divine pavilion's first branch's saint's son, Zhu Zhen. Before figuring out Zhu Zhen's true strength, Ningyu wouldn't easily agree. Sir Ning must be joking. Yunmu blinked his eyes, his appearance very moving. He said, I've already used all my connections to suppress the matter of you killing Gu Yuan and the others. Currently, in the 9 cauldrons divine pavilion, besides Zhu Zhen and me, only Supremacy Marshal knows about this. Dong, dong, dong. Ningyu glanced at Supremacy Marshal, and then lightly tapped his fingers on the table. What is Zhu Zhen's cultivation? After a while, Ningyu asked. Half-step supremacy, Yunmu replied. What do you want me to do? Ningyu asked. It's very simple. 3 days from now, Supremacy Marshal and I will head to the Magical Beast Mountain Range. At that time, you just need to come with us. Yunmu said. No problem. We'll meet again. After saying this, Ningyu left the room without looking back. Aunt Yun, do you think Ningyu can be trusted? Yunmu said to the talisman Marshal Venerable the moment Ningyu left. If Ningyu was here, he would definitely be shocked. In just a blink of an eye, the talisman Marshal Venerable had transformed into a charming and noble lady. She disguised herself as a man. Her methods were truly profound. She was actually able to escape Ningyu's eyes. A few days have passed since Zhu Zhen issued the 9 cauldrons bounty. Ningyu was able to arrive at Profound Sky City unscathed. This is enough to prove his strength and ability. Aunt Yun said calmly, according to a reliable source, Ningyu has already become a key figure in the struggle for power. Let's first tie him tightly to us. Even if we encounter danger in the magical Beast Mountain range, we will have an additional layer of protection. Aunt Yun, does Ningyu really have such good luck? Yun Mu hesitated. Before coming to Profound Sky City, I once asked Elder Tianji to personally perform a divination. Aunt Yun took a deep breath and said, the divination shows that the magical Beast Mountain range is surrounded by a violet aura. Someone will definitely rise to power. But how can you be sure that the rising person will be Ningyu? Yun Mu asked, puzzled. Elder Tianji once taught me the aura gazing technique. Just now, I saw that Ningyu's forehead was full and there was a faint violet aura circling above his head. From this, it can be seen that this child is definitely extraordinary. Aunt Yun said, also, Zhu Zhen spread the word that in 3 days, he will find you to marry and enjoy the intimacy of husband and wife. Wishful thinking. Yun Mu coldly snorted and said, Zhu Zhen is a sinister and cunning person. In order to achieve his goals, he will do anything. The only reason he wants to marry me is to make me his cauldron. Chapter 885. Soul Harmonizing Pill. Chapter 885. Soul Harmonizing Pill. Because he had to prepare for the trip to the magical Beast Mountain range in 3 days, Ningyu didn't linger on the streets after leaving Scattering Flower House. He directly returned to the Ning family. In short, this trip wasn't completely fruitless. After all, he knew that Zhu Zhen had issued a 9 Cauldron Divine Pavilion's first branch's Saint Son. Yun Mu was the 9 Cauldron Divine Pavilion's first branch's Saint Daughter. Her strength was obviously terrifying. If even she was afraid of Zhu Zhen, then he must be very strong. Thus, Ningyu urgently needed to increase his strength in a short period of time. At the very least, he had to increase his cultivation to the peak of the early manifestation realm in 3 days. After returning to the Ning family, Ningyu first gathered everyone in the Ning family and answered their questions for 3 to 4 hours. Then, he announced that he would go into seclusion. Before Ningyu went into seclusion, he ordered 2 things. First, the Red Devil and Duan Qing would answer the Ning family's questions for an hour every day. Second, Duan Qing would refine pills for the Ning family. After finishing all of this, Ningyu shut himself in his room. He set up a small array formation at the entrance, completely sealing it off. Shua. Ningyu didn't immediately start cultivating. Instead, he took out the golden box that he had found on Supremacy Yun Tian's body. The golden box had 6 sides, and each side had a golden lock. Go! Ningyu flicked his finger. A cold light flew out, splitting into 6 and hitting the golden lock. Ding! A crisp sound rang out. The cold light turned into nothingness. It can actually swallow soul force. Ningyu fell into deep thought. In order to open the golden lock as soon as possible, the cold light he had flicked out just now was soul force. If even soul force was swallowed, then this golden lock would be very difficult to open. After thinking for a moment, Ningyu flicked his wrist and the Red Devil sword appeared in his hand. Since the golden lock had the ability to swallow soul force, Ningyu didn't waste any more time. He planned on using the Red Devil sword to cut it in half. The Red Devil sword was an emperor-ranked flying sword. If it couldn't cut the golden lock in half, then Ningyu would be done for. Gotcha! The Red Demon's sword did not disappoint Ningyu. The flying sword struck a golden lock. The golden lock struggled for a moment before falling to the ground. Ka 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 ka. Then, Ningyu slashed 5 times in a row. When the sword was unsheathed, the golden locks would definitely be broken. After 5 strikes, the remaining 5 golden locks all fell to the ground. Ningyu was not a rash person. He took a step back and the essence qi in his sea of consciousness surged out, wrapping around the golden box. Before knowing what was inside the golden box, Ningyu would not take the risk of opening it at close range. Xiao. Ningyu withdrew a king-grade origin crystal from his spatial ring and abruptly tossed it towards the golden box. Bang! A crisp sound rang out as the golden box abruptly cracked open. Pills! Ningyu stared at the silver-white elixir lying in the golden box with shock written all over his face. Although the golden box was wrapped in essence chi, Ningyu could still sense the terrifying aura emitted from the elixir. Spirit harmonizing pill? No matter what, Ningyu was also a pinnacle 9th grade alchemist in his previous life. Thus, he could easily determine the grade of the elixir before him. Pinnacle 8th grade elixir, spirit harmonizing pill. Although the spirit harmonizing pill was only a pinnacle 8th grade elixir, it could be ranked in the top few among the 8th grade elixirs. Generally speaking, the spirit harmonizing pill was used by pinnacle manifestation realm cultivators to break through to the supremacy realm. Supremacy Yun Tian was a pinnacle 1st grade human sovereign. Logically speaking, the spirit harmonizing pill wouldn't be of much use to him. Furthermore, the spirit harmonizing pill before him was at most a pinnacle manifestation realm cultivator. The effects would be great for pinnacle manifestation realm cultivators, but it would be much weaker for pinnacle 1st grade human sovereigns. Come here. After pondering for a brief moment, Ningyu shook his wrist and directly grabbed the spirit harmonizing pill. What? Just as he grabbed the spirit harmonizing pill in his hand, Ningyu revealed a shocked expression. The reason why Ningyu was shocked was because he realized that the spirit harmonizing pill in his hand was actually a semi-finished product. A semi-finished spirit harmonizing pill was already a supreme grade elixir. One could imagine that once it was completed, it would at least be a transcendent grade elixir. Even though Ningyu was experienced and knowledgeable, he rarely saw a transcendent grade 8th grade elixir. The higher the grade of the elixir, the harder it was to refine a transcendent grade elixir. Transcendent grade elixir rarely appeared in the entire Sky Devil territory from grade 8 and above. So, there's a problem with the ratio of medicinal ingredients. Ningyu stared at the spirit harmonizing pill in his hand. Finally, with his super experience, he concluded that this spirit harmonizing pill was only a semi-finished product because there was a problem with the ratio of ingredient. One of the ingredients had a slightly higher ratio than the other. Is there a chance to refine it? Ningyu fell into deep thought. If he consumed a supreme-grade spirit harmonizing pill, there was a high possibility that he would break through to the peak of the early-stage manifestation realm. If he wanted to break through to the mid-stage manifestation realm, it would be very difficult with the terrifying capacity of his sea of consciousness. If it was a transcendent-grade spirit-harmonizing pill, even if his sea of consciousness was slightly larger, it would not be a problem for him to advance to the mid-stage manifestation realm. I'll risk it. Without thinking too much, Ningyu took out his alchemy furnace and adjusted his mental state to its peak before throwing the supreme-grade spirit-harmonizing pill into the alchemy furnace. If the strength of Ningyu's soul force was only at the peak of the 6th grade, he would definitely not take this risk. However, his soul force had advanced to the early stage of the 7th grade. If he returned the alchemy furnace to refine the spirit-harmonizing pill, he would have a 30% to 40% success rate. On the path of alchemy, if one could have such a high success rate, it was worth the risk. Go in. Ningyu did not dare to be careless. He dragged the alchemy furnace with his left hand and poured an endless stream of essence into the furnace. At the same time, Ningyu poured out all his early-stage 7th grade soul force and poured it into the alchemy furnace. Sizzle! As time passed, a sizzling sound came from the alchemy furnace. Rumble! The sound grew louder and louder, so much so that it produced an earth-shattering rumble. Suppress it! Ningyu's powerful soul force completely suppressed the alchemy furnace. Under the suppression of Ningyu's soul force, the alchemy furnace gradually regained its calm. Drip, drip, Time passed minute by minute. The spirit-harmonizing pill was refined again, and the proportion of ingredients was redistributed. Bang! An hour later, a muffled sound rang out and the pill lid flew off. A silver-white pill flew out from the alchemy furnace. Ning Yu's eyes and hands were sharp, and he steadily caught the pill in his hand. A transcendent-grade spirit-harmonizing pill. Looking at the spirit-harmonizing pill in his hand, Ning Yu let out a long breath, a hint of excitement appearing on his face. With no time to think, Ning Yu flicked his wrist and directly threw the transcendent-grade spirit-harmonizing pill into his mouth. The spirit-harmonizing pill melted in his mouth, turning into a warm current that flowed continuously in Ning Yu's body. Ning Yu hurriedly sat down cross-legged, and the fifth level of the spirit transformation technique circulated rapidly, continuously refining the medicinal power of the spirit-harmonizing pill in his body. The terrifying energy was guided by the spirit transformation technique, first circulating a few rounds in Ning Yu's body before entering his consciousness. A golden core was lying flat in his consciousness. Sensing the incoming energy, the golden core instantly erupted with a terrifying devouring force, completely devouring the energy into its body. Crack! Just as the golden core devoured the energy into its body, a faint cracking sound could be heard. Chapter 886. Leave it to its own devices. Chapter 886. Self-destruction. The golden core had shattered. At this moment, Ning Yu thought of a terrifying possibility. In the process of cultivation, there was a possibility that the golden core could not withstand the terrifying energy and would shatter. The shattering of the golden core was extremely terrifying. The best-case scenario was that the consciousness would be destroyed, and the worst-case scenario was death on the spot. Suppress it. Ning Yu quickly immersed his consciousness into his consciousness and began to suppress the golden core. In order to completely suppress the golden core, Ning Yu even controlled his early-stage grade 7 soul force into his consciousness without reservation. Crack crack. Although Ning Yu was trying his best to compress the golden core, it was still emitting cracking sounds as more and more cracks appeared on it. Damn it! Seeing that the golden core was about to shatter, Ning Yu cursed. Crack! At this moment, a shocking sound came from Ning Yu's consciousness. Rumble! Ning Yu felt like his entire head was a paste, and his consciousness gradually became blurry. After an unknown period of time, when Ning Yu woke up again, his head was still a little muddled. Golden core. After a brief moment of clarity, Ning Yu quickly used his senses to enter his consciousness. What he saw made Ning Yu freeze on the spot. There was no golden core in his consciousness. The entire consciousness was empty, and he could not even see the shadow of the golden core. The golden core is gone? Ning Yu's brows were tightly furrowed, and a puzzled expression appeared on his face. It did not make sense. It did not make sense at all. A martial artist's golden core would appear after advancing to the primordial core realm. It would only completely disappear the moment one advanced to the supremacy realm. Ning Yu was only at the early-stage manifestation realm. No. He should be at the mid-stage manifestation realm. Ning Yu was very confused. It was fine that the golden core in his consciousness had disappeared, but he had advanced to the mid-stage manifestation realm without even knowing it. What are all these things? Ning Yu shook his head, trying hard to calm himself down. At the middle stage of the creation realm, the golden core in the sea of consciousness disappeared. This series of events was completely out of Ning Yu's expectations. Buzz. Suddenly, a purple blurry ball of light appeared in Ning Yu's sea of consciousness. Power of space. Sensing the sudden appearance of the purple ball of light in his knowledge sea, Ning Yu revealed a look of ecstasy. Generally speaking, as long as a martial artist advanced to the yin-yang realm, they would be able to use spatial energy in a small area to fight their enemies. However, that spatial power and the one that appeared in Ning Yu's sea of consciousness were two completely different concepts. The power of space in Ning Yu's sea of consciousness, to be precise, should be called the law of space. In ancient times, it was said that only when a heavenly sovereign tried to break through to the half-saint realm would there be a trace of space law in their body. The spatial laws were extremely terrifying. Even if it was just a trace, it could instantly kill a supreme being. Ning Yu could not understand why his sea of consciousness would produce the law of space. Let's see if we can control it. Ning Yu released a wisp of his soul force and carefully approached the purple orb. Sizzle! As Ning Yu's soul force approached, the purple light suddenly made a sizzling sound. Ning Yu's face changed drastically and he immediately retracted his soul force. Phew! Ning Yu let out a long breath and muttered, "It seems that with my current strength, it will be very difficult for me to control the law of space." After pondering for a moment, Ning Yu completely withdrew his soul force from his sea of consciousness. No matter what, the disappearance of the golden core was a blessing in disguise. His cultivation had advanced to the middle phase of the manifestation realm, and a trace of the law of space had appeared in his sea of consciousness out of nowhere. According to Ning Yu's guess, the appearance of the law of space in his sea of consciousness was definitely related to supremacy Yun Tian. Now I'm lucky. Since he could not control the law of space in his sea of consciousness, Ning Yu did not care about it. Instead, he briefly recalled the cultivation method of the 6th level of the spiritual transformation art and began to cultivate it. As his cultivation increased, Ning Yu realized that the 5th level of the spiritual transformation art was no longer enough to support his cultivation. Therefore, it was urgent to cultivate the 6th level of the spiritual transformation art. Ning Yu did not waste any time. Based on his previous life's experience, he immediately began to cultivate. Due to the experience from his previous life, and the fact that Ning Yu's soul force had advanced to the early phase of the 7th stage, his cultivation was very fast. In just a few hours, he had already grasped the 6th level of the spiritual transformation art. While Ning Yu was slowly cultivating the spiritual transformation art, 3 young men suddenly appeared at the main entrance of the Ning family. One of the young men lifted his right foot and kicked the door of the Ning family. Boom! The door of the Ning family was only made of wood. Naturally, it did not even last for a moment and was kicked in half. Swoosh! 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 The door was kicked open, and the members of the Ning family instantly rushed out. The Dark Emperor and the Red Devil were among them. Behind them, Ouyang Luan, Duan Cheng, and the others stood side by side. As for the patriarch of the Ning family, Ning He, and the elders of the Ning family, they stood at the back. Oh my, this is like poking a hornet's nest. So many monsters have appeared. Among the 3 young men, a man with a protruding mouth and cheeks curled his lips and said sinisterly, "Let's briefly talk about our purpose this time. Hand over Ning Yu, and we'll spare your lives." Woof, woof. On the Dark Emperor's shoulder, Furball barked at the young man with a protruding mouth and cheeks. A dog? The man with a protruding mouth and cheeks looked at Furball and said with a faint smile, "Not bad, not bad. This dog is not an ordinary dog. I can feel a trace of an ancient aura from it." Ancient my A*S. The Dark Emperor immediately cursed. Where did these barbarians come from? How dare they behave so atrociously here? In the Dark Emperor's opinion, the 3 young men in front of him did not have very high cultivation bases. The man with a protruding mouth and cheeks was the highest, but he was only in the late phase of the manifestation realm. As for the other 2, they were only in the middle phase of the manifestation realm. There was no need for Ning Yu to make a move against martial artists with such strength. The Dark Emperor alone could easily kill them. Humph! The man with a protruding mouth and cheeks snorted coldly. He then took out a token and threw it at the Dark Emperor. Pah! The Dark Emperor raised his front paw and caught the token firmly in his hand. Bounty order? Looking at the 3 eye-catching blood-red words on the token, The Dark Emperor casually tossed it to the side and said indifferently, "I don't care what kind of killing order it is, or what kind of death order it is. In short, if you want to cause trouble here, you have to bring out the ability you should have." Sha sha. In the void not far from the Ning family, two martial artists were hidden. Ant Yun, although the three of them do not have high cultivation bases, they are Zhu Jin's capable subordinates. If the three of them join forces, even a grade 1 supreme being would have to suffer a grievance. If Ningyu was here, he would definitely realize that he knew the two martial artists. One was the talisman martial supremacy, and the other was Yun Mu. At this moment, Yun Mu frowned and said worriedly, "Ningyu's cultivation base is only in the early phase of the manifestation realm. If he can't handle it, should we step in and mediate?" Remember, Ningyu is just a chess piece. If he can't even deal with these people, then there's no point in keeping him alive. A dark and cold expression appeared on Aunt Yun's face as she spoke viciously. Chapter 887. Ho 3, you're quite a funny dog. Since you want me to show my strength, I'll do as you wish. The corners of the monkey-like man's mouth curled up into an arc. Then, his figure flashed as he charged towards the Dark Emperor at an extremely fast speed. In the face of the monkey-faced man's attack, the Dark Emperor remained expressionless, and he was even teasing Furball on his shoulder. "Humph! You're about to die, yet you still dare to be so arrogant. I'll send you to heaven." Being looked down upon in front of so many people, the monkey-like man snorted coldly. Violent yuan qi fluctuations appeared on his fist as he punched toward the Dark Emperor's head. The sharp-mouthed monkey was called Ho San, and he was the #1 expert under Zhu Jin. His strength could reach 1/10 of Zhu Jin's. The other two men were called Zhang Wu and Zhao Lu. Zhang Wu and Zhao Lu aren't very strong, but they are at least 1/20 of Zhu Jin's strength. Whoosh! Whoosh! Seeing that Ho San was charging towards the Dark Emperor, Zhang Wu and Zhao Lu flew out together, targeting the people behind the Dark Emperor. "Silver-winged dragon, twin-horned beast, follow me to face the enemy." Hong Mo's expression changed as he growled, "Silver-winged dragon, twin-horned beast, you two are responsible for protecting the rest of the Ning family." "Protection? Can he protect us?" Zhang Wu coldly said. "Zhao Lu, I'll leave these pieces of trash to you, I'll deal with the others." "No problem," Zhao Lu answered. What happened in front of the main entrance of the Ning family caused everyone to discuss it. The people of Tianxian City didn't know about the great battle that took place in the Ning family a few days ago. However, it could be said that everyone in Tianxian City knew that the battle had taken place in front of the Ning family. It's over. The Ning family is finished. Isn't that right? The man with a protruding mouth and ape-like chin is at the advanced stage of the Fate Realm, and the other two are also at the intermediate stage of the Fate Realm. Sigh, I don't know how the Ning family provoked such a terrifying person. Didn't you hear? The man with a protruding mouth and ape-like chin said at the beginning that they came here mainly to find Ningyu, and they even brought a kill order. If I were Ningyu, I would run away immediately. Rumble. All kinds of discussions rose and fell. On the other side, the battle had already begun. Among them, the Red Devil and the Silver-Winged Dragon were holding Zhang Wu and Zhao Lu back. Although Zhang Wu and Zhao Lu had the upper hand, it would be extremely difficult for them to kill the Red Devils in a short amount of time. On the Dark Emperor's side, the situation was very critical. Although the Dark Emperor didn't say anything, no one knew Ho San's strength better than him. How can this guy be so strong? His cultivation is only at the late stage of the manifestation realm, but his true strength is close to that of a grade 1 supreme human. The Dark Emperor was in agony. If not for Furball's help, he would have already met his maker. Ho San was indeed very powerful. He was a peerless genius of the 9 Cauldrons Divine Pavilion, and his cultivation was at the late manifestation realm. In the 9-furnace divine pavilion's first branch, there were only a few geniuses that could suppress Ho-san. With Ho-san's strength, it was more than enough for him to stand firm within the 9-furnace divine pavilion. Even he unconditionally submitted to Zhu Zhen. From this, it could be seen just how terrifying Zhu Zhen's strength was. Damn dog, I want to have dog meat hot pot today. After not being able to kill the Dark Emperor in 3 minutes, Ho-san was furious to the extreme. He had boasted in front of Zhu Zhen that he would bring Ning Yu's head to him in 6 hours. But now, he couldn't even kill a black dog quickly. How could he bring Ning Yu's head to Zhu Zhen in 6 hours? Thus, Ho-san forced the Dark Emperor back with one move. His palm reached deep into his robes and pulled out a green flying sword. King Mid-Grade Flying Sword. The flying sword in Ho-san's hand was a King Mid-Grade Flying Sword, the green leather sword. Holding the green leather sword, Ho-san instantly rushed out. Chi-chi. The green leather sword made contact with the air, emitting a chi-chi sound. Furball, go and inform that brat Ning Yu to come over. Feeling the terrifying power contained in the flying sword, the Dark Emperor's expression changed. He hurriedly pushed Furball away and said in a low voice, I'll hold him here for now. Woof woof. Furball barked twice before leaving. Want to leave? It won't be that easy. Seeing that Furball wanted to leave, Ho-san quickly waved the green leather sword in his hand. The sword gleam that was originally aimed at the Dark Emperor was directed at Furball instead. Block it. Since he had already decided to let Furball inform Ning Yu, the Dark Emperor naturally wouldn't let him be stopped. Therefore, the Dark Emperor opened his mouth and swallowed the sword gleam that Ho-san had slashed out in front of everyone. Swoosh. The Dark Emperor's sudden move left everyone dumbfounded. Including Ho-san, even Zhang Wu and Zhao Lu, who were on the other side, were dumbfounded. What the hell, isn't this too exaggerated? Gulp. Ho-san swallowed a mouthful of saliva and looked at the Dark Emperor in shock. You dare to swallow the sword gleam of a late-stage manifestation realm martial artist with a King Mid-Grade Flying Sword? Do you really have the strength, or are you just putting up a front? Bang, bang, bang. The next moment, a series of muffled sounds came from the Dark Emperor's stomach. Ha ha, I was wondering how powerful you are. So, you're just a waxhead with a silver spear. Hearing the muffled sounds, Ho-san laughed maniacally. You can't even block 30% of my sword gleam. You can go to hell. Burp! However, before Ho-san could continue attacking, the Dark Emperor burped and said calmly, I'm sorry. The sword gleam is a little big, so it's a little hard to digest. I've kept you waiting. If the Dark Emperor's swallowing of the sword gleam had shocked everyone, then the Dark Emperor's words now completely dumbfounded them. That's too terrifying. You can even devour such a powerful sword gleam. Are you a devouring beast? I don't care what you're up to, but you won't be able to escape today. Ho-san snorted coldly and immediately rose from the ground, charging towards the Dark Emperor again. Ho-san did not believe that a dog could be so powerful. In Ho-san's opinion, the Dark Emperor must be pretending and must be in imminent danger. You want him to be unable to escape? At this moment, an indifferent voice came from the void. Who is it? Ho-san was slightly stunned when he heard that voice. Then, he said coldly, Stop sneaking around and come out. Haha, aren't you looking for me? The voice came from the void again. If you're capable, you can blast me out. Playing tricks. Ho-san's eyes turned cold as he stabbed the flying sword in his hand at the Dark Emperor. Actually, Ho-san was right. In order to suppress the sword gleam in his body, the Dark Emperor was already at the end of his rope. As expected, the Dark Emperor could no longer free himself to deal with Ho-san. However, after hearing the voice from the void, the Dark Emperor knew that he was safe. Looking at Ho-san, who was flying towards him, and the King Intermediate Grade flying sword in Ho-san's hand, the Dark Emperor immediately sat down and closed his eyes. Giving up? The Dark Emperor's actions made Ho-san's heart skip a beat. Chapter 888. Unexpected. Is that black dog an idiot? Why isn't it fighting back? Fighting back? Didn't you notice that the black dog is already at the end of its rope and has no more fighting power? Sigh, the Ning family is facing a great calamity this time. They might be removed from Tianxian City. What? Before the last cultivator could finish sighing, his eyes widened in shock as he stared at the skinny figure that had appeared beside Ho-san at some point in time. Puff! A crisp sound rang out. Suddenly, the area became quiet. Even the sound of breathing could be heard clearly. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be mysterious. I'm just thinking about how to kill you. Ningyu pulled out the red demon sword from Ho-san's chest and said calmly. I wanted to let you live a little longer, but since you want to die, I can only send you on your way. Ningyu! Ho-san clenched his fists and gritted his teeth as he stared at the skinny figure in front of him. I admit that you're strong, but it won't be that easy to kill me. Swoosh! Ho-san immediately counterattacked. He waved the mid-grade king-level flying sword in his hand. In an instant, several sword rays flew out. Each sword ray contained a violent wave of primordial qi. They fiercely attacked Ningyu's head. Ho-san had promised Yuzhen that he would bring Ningyu's head to him. Therefore, Ho-san's goal was clear. He wanted to cut off Ningyu's head. Solitaire! Ningyu let out a soft cry. He immediately waved the red demon sword and slashed out a sword wave. The sword ray and sword ray collided. Without a doubt, Ningyu's sword ray was slightly stronger. It easily dispersed Ho-san's sword ray. What? Ningyu's attack seemed ordinary, but it shocked Yunmu. Aunt Yun, did you see it clearly? Ningyu's attack. Yunmu's mouth was slightly agape as she said in surprise. This child is indeed extraordinary. Looks like what Tianji Lauren said was true. Aunt Yun nodded. He might be a variable in this trip to the mountain range of magical beasts. Yeah, how long has it been? I can clearly feel that his strength has more than doubled. Yunmu took a deep breath and said, if this continues, I'm afraid that in a few days, even I won't be able to suppress him. It's fine. As long as I am around, he will not be able to do much. On the contrary, the stronger he is, the more advantageous it will be for us. It would be best if he grows to the point where he can contend against Yuzhen. That way, with him restraining Yuzhen, we will be able to successfully escape. Aunt Yun waved her hand and said, very good, very good. You have completely angered me. Seeing that Ningyu had easily blocked his sword ray, Ho-san was not angry. Instead, he calmed down. Twisting his neck, Ho-san said indifferently, next, I will let you know what true strength is. Why do you have so much to say? What were you doing just now? Why are you only showing me what true strength is now? Ningyu shrugged and curled his lips. You are only at the late stage of the manifestation realm. How strong can you be? Oh right. You might want to use some beast technique. The kind that turns yourself into a beast. Once you use it, even I will be afraid. Ah! I am so angry. I will grind your bones to dust. Ho-san roared a few times into the sky when he was ridiculed by Ningyu in public. After that, he put away the mid-grade king-rank flying sword, and then a terrifying fluctuation of energy appeared on his wrist as he smashed his fist towards Ningyu's head. At first, Ho-san wanted to chop off Ningyu's head and show it to Yuzhen. But now Ho-san changed his mind. He wanted to blow up Ningyu's head and let Ningyu know what true strength was. Dark Emperor, if you want to meditate, can you go somewhere else? At this moment, Ningyu turned around and complained to the Dark Emperor. Ningyu's action caused the surrounding onlookers to be dumbfounded. Ho-san's fist, which contained a terrifying amount of essence energy, came at you. Not only did you not block it, but you even talked to the black dog on the ground. Was he blind? Air-killing fist. At first, Ho-san was a little nervous. After all, he was worried that Ning Yu would suddenly go berserk. However, when he realized that Ning Yu did not seem to care about him, he was secretly delighted. I will let you have a taste of the air-killing fist. Ho San seemed to be able to see Ning Yu's miserable state when his head was blown up. Aunt Yun, what is Ning Yu doing? Yun Mu frowned and asked in the void. If she did not know that Ning Yu was powerful, she would have suspected that Ning Yu had a problem with his ears. I don't know either, Aunt Yun said with a serious expression. Aunt Yun, hurry up and help, Yun Mu said. Wait a little longer. I want to see what Ning Yu is up to, Aunt Yun said. Drip, drip. Time passed bit by bit. Ho San's fist was getting closer and closer to Ning Yu, but Ning Yu still looked calm, as if everything had nothing to do with him. Aunt Yun. Seeing that Ho San was about to hit Ning Yu, Yun Mu hurriedly said, Okay. Aunt Yun shouted and waved her hands, trying to tear the void. Crack. However, before Aunt Yun could completely tear the void, she suddenly stopped in midair. That was because a crisp sound had reached his ears. How is this possible? Aunt Yun was instantly dumbfounded, her eyes filled with horror. Yun Mu, who was next to her, covered his mouth with his hand. His eyes were wide open, as if he had seen a ghost. Ah! What followed was a scream like that of a pig being slaughtered. Ho San's body retreated a few feet. His right hand was clenched, and beads of sweat dripped from his forehead. What? Am I blind? You're not blind. This really happened. It's very real. Ho San is a martial artist in the late stage of the manifestation realm. If even he is not Ning Yu's opponent, then how terrifying is Ning Yu's strength? The surrounding martial artists all looked toward the entrance of the Ning family. The figure standing at the entrance of the Ning family was like a god of war, emitting a terrifying aura. Anyone who trespasses into the Ning family will die. As the word die fell from his mouth, Ning Yu's figure gradually became illusory. Not good. The moment Ning Yu disappeared, Ho San's expression changed drastically. Puff. It was too late for Ho San to think of escaping. Ning Yu appeared beside him, and the red demon sword in his hand quickly stabbed forward. The sound of a flying sword piercing flesh rang out. Ho San lowered his head to look at the blood-red flying sword stuck in his heart. He opened his mouth, wanting to say something ruthless, but before he could say anything, he fell to the ground. Bang! When Ho San's body hit the ground, the surroundings were silent. The silence was extremely terrifying, 10,000 times more terrifying than before. Let's go. Zhang Wu and Zhao Lu, who were at the side, looked at each other, then rose from the ground and fled into the distance. Zhang Wu and Zhao Lu were not fools. Even Ho San, who was in the late stage of the manifestation realm, had been easily killed. If they stayed, it would be the same as seeking death. Chapter 889. Show up. However, Ning Yu was not an idiot. How could he let Zhang Wu and Zhao Lu escape just like that? Trying to escape after failing to kill? How can there be such a good thing in this world? After saying that, Ning Yu put away the red magic sword, stomped on the ground, and rushed out. Whoosh! Ning Yu's speed was very fast. Before Zhang Wu and Zhao Lu could get far, Ning Yu had already caught up to them. Bang! Bang! After catching up, Ning Yu naturally did not hold back and threw out multiple punches. Ah! The pain from the punches on their bodies made Zhang Wu and Zhao Lu let out hysterical screams. Fight! Zhang Wu and Zhao Lu were smart. After knowing that they could not escape, they immediately decided to fight to the death with Ning Yu. Now it was the exact opposite. Escape meant death. If they stayed, there was still a chance of survival. Fight? What do you have to fight me with? Ning Yu laughed coldly. Immediately, the Yuan Qi in his sea of consciousness wrapped around his fist and suddenly punched out. Pew pew. Ning Yu's punches were very fast. So fast that Zhang Wu and Zhao Lu could only see a shadow before they were already in front of them. Invincible punch. Zhang Wu's eyes revealed a fierce look. Similarly, he pushed out his right hand, which collided with Ning Yu's fist. Crack! A crisp sound accompanied by a pig-like squeal rang out in the area. Then, Zhang Wu's body, like a kite with a broken string, fell backward. Whoosh! After defeating Zhang Wu in one move, Ning Yu did not hold back. He once again punched at Zhao Lu. Bang! Zhao Lu's strength was similar to Zhang Wu's. Even Zhang Wu could not block Ning Yu's fist, let alone him. The result was surprisingly consistent. Zhao Lu directly made contact with the ground and fell flat on his face. Voila! Although everyone had already guessed that Ning Yu would be able to easily defeat Zhang Wu and Zhao Lu, but when Ning Yu really defeated them, everyone still showed a shocked expression. He killed Ho San, who was in the late stage of the Blessed Realm, and easily defeated Zhang Wu and Zhao Lu, who were in the middle stage of the Blessed Realm. How powerful was Ning Yu? Could he be at the peak of the creation realm? Impossible. Ning Yu can't possibly be at the peak of the creation realm. No matter what, in this half a year, Ning Yu has made rapid progress. That's right. I'm afraid that from today onwards, the Ning family will truly rise. Even in the Great Xia Kingdom, they will be able to occupy a place of their own. Ignoring the discussions of the crowd, Ning Yu's feet moved. He arrived in front of Zhang Wu and Zhao Lu and said, "The Nine-Furnace Divine Pavilion is truly tyrannical. If they want to kill someone, they directly issue a Nine-Furnace killing order." Humph! Don't be so proud. The Saint's Son is near Profound Sky City. As long as you dare kill us, the Saint's Son will definitely grind your bones to dust. Zhang Wu and Zhao Lu coldly snorted. "Grind my bones to dust, I've heard this phrase many times. It doesn't have any effect on me," Ning Yu lightly said. "Is your Saint's Son called Zhu Jun, a half-step supreme being?" In fact, Ning Yu had already learned from Yun Mu that the Nine-Furnace Divine Pavilion's first branch's Saint's Son, Zhu Jun, was a half-step supreme being. The reason why Ning Yu asked again was because he didn't trust Yun Mu. There was no reason for Yun Mu to find him. Therefore, before going to the Magical Beast Mountain Range with Yun Mu, Ning Yu had to understand the Nine-Furnace Divine Pavilion's situation. "Aunt Yun, what does Ning Yu want to do?" In the air, Yun Mu heard Ning Yu's words and faintly felt that something was wrong. What else can he do? It's already very obvious. He wants to understand the Nine-Furnace Divine Pavilion and doesn't want to be restricted by us. Aunt Yun was an understanding person. She was very clear on what Ning Yu wanted to do. Ning Yu had played this trick before when she was young. It couldn't fool her. "What should we do?" Yun Mu hesitated. "It's simple. You stay here. I'll be right back." The corners of Aunt Yun's lips curled up. Her figure suddenly disappeared. As soon as Aunt Yun disappeared, Ning Yu's eyebrows shot up. He realized that something was wrong. Bang! In the time it took for a spark to fly off a flint, before Ning Yu could even react, Aunt Yun had already arrived in front of Zhang Wu. Her fist punched out, directly hitting Zhang Wu's heart. A crisp sound rang out. Zhang Wu's eyelids rolled back. He died on the spot. After Zhang Wu died, Aunt Yun sent out another palm strike, this one aimed at Zhao Lu. 3 lives palm. At this critical moment, Ning Yu gathered all the origin energy in his spiritual sea onto his wrist, and thrust out his palm. Puff! The 2 palms collided. 2 figures rapidly retreated. Poochie! Ning Yu retreated all the way to the Ning family's front gate before stabilizing himself. He spat out a mouthful of blood. Ning Yu's expression was extremely gloomy. As for Aunt Yun, she immediately left after failing to land a single strike. "Where do you think you're going?" Seeing that the person who ambushed him wanted to leave, the Dark Emperor shouted and wanted to rush out. "Stay here obediently." Ning Yu kicked the Dark Emperor's body and coldly said, "The other party is a sovereign human. Her strength is incomparably strong. If you go, you'll just be courting death." Sovereign human? Hearing this, besides the Dark Emperor, even the Red Devil and the others were stunned. Because that palm just now didn't look like it came from a sovereign human. She only used 50% of her strength in that palm strike. Perhaps seeing the confusion on the Dark Emperor's face, Ningyu wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and said, "Take Zhao Lu away and find a way to pry open his mouth. I want to know everything about the 9 Cauldrons Divine Pavilion." Yes. For this, the Dark Emperor was the best at it. He responded, then dragged Zhao Lu towards the Ning clan. Sha sha. At this time, 2 figures tore through the void and slowly landed in front of the Ning family. Looking at the 2 familiar figures in front of him, Ningyu's heart skipped a beat. He had an answer in his heart. But Ningyu was a little puzzled. The martial artist who attacked just now was a woman, and the one beside Yunmu was a talisman martial supreme. Could it be that there was a powerful martial artist hiding behind Yunmu? Thinking of this, Ningyu said without batting an eyelid, "Miss Yun, I wonder what brings you here this time? Haha, can't I come for no reason?" Yunmu faintly smiled and said, "When the Ning family was in danger, this little girl was busy and couldn't help in time. I hope you don't mind." "It's fine, just a few small shrimps. I can handle them myself." Ningyu waved his hand and said, "If there's anything, let's talk inside. There are too many people here, it's not convenient to communicate." "Wait." Suddenly, the talisman martial supreme took a step forward and pointed at Zhao Lu. He said in a low voice, "I don't think this martial artist should stay in this world." "Why do you say that?" Ningyu's eyebrows twitched, puzzled. The 9 Cauldrons Divine Pavilion has a secret technique. Once it is used, everyone within several miles will sense it. The talisman martial supreme lightly said, "Zhao Lu is a member of the 9 Cauldrons Divine Pavilion's first branch. If he uses this secret technique, Zhu Zhen might personally come." Chapter 890. One move, oh? Ningyu's brows raised when he heard this, and he looked at the talisman martial sovereign with interest as he spoke. "What senior means is that I should kill Zhao Lu right now." "That's right." The talisman supremacy's tone was firm. "Maybe you don't know Zhu Zhen's true strength. Zhu Zhen can kill Zhao Lu and Ho San in a breath's time. If Zhu Zhen rushes over now, the consequences will be unimaginable." As the talisman supremacy spoke, Ningyu stared into his eyes, hoping to find some clues. However, the talisman supremacy was very calm and did not reveal any clues. "Ningyu, the talisman supremacy is right. Zhao Lu cannot be left alive. He must be killed on the spot." Suddenly, Yunmu took a step forward and said, "Whoosh." As soon as he finished speaking, Yunmu stomped on the ground and his body instantly shot out. His target was Zhao Lu. Seeing Yunmu make a move, Ningyu's face turned a little ugly, but he still did not stop him. Because at this moment, the talisman supremacy's attention was on him. If he dared to stop him, the talisman supremacy would definitely not ignore it. "Hee, you want to make a move? You'll have to get through me first." The talisman supremacy snickered in his heart. Then, a powerful aura was released and crazily pressed towards Ningyu. Crack! Being suppressed by the powerful aura, Ningyu only felt a soreness in his knees. He couldn't help but kneel down. "Humph! I thought you were a Grade 2 human supreme. So you're the same as the Cloud Sky Supremacy, a peak Grade 1 human supreme." Ningyu snorted and gathered the energy in his sea of consciousness on the surface of his body, trying his best to resist the talisman supremacy's aura. Although the talisman supremacy's aura was powerful, wanting to completely suppress Ningyu would be looking down on Ningyu. After advancing to the intermediate manifestation realm, Ningyu's strength had increased by more than a few fold. It could be said that if Ningyu, who was in the middle stage of the Fate Realm, fought against Ningyu, who was in the early stage of the Fate Realm, he would definitely be killed in an instant. Now, only a second-grade supreme martial artist could completely suppress Ningyu. An ordinary pinnacle grade 1 human sovereign couldn't suppress him at all. At best, they could only give him some pressure. Roar. At this moment, the Dark Emperor looked at the approaching Yunmu and suddenly roared into the sky. Ka-ka. The terrifying shockwave even caused the space around them to shatter. Hee, this black dog of yours isn't weak. Looking at the shockwaves rushing towards them, Yunmu's lips curved up. He faintly smiled and said, Zhao Lu is someone from the Nine-Furnace Divine Pavilion. He must die today. Otherwise, not only will you suffer a calamity, but we will also suffer a calamity. Yunmu's palm lightly streaked across the air. Voila! In an instant, a piercingly cold light flew out. Under everyone's shocked gazes, it collided with the shockwave from the Dark Emperor's roar. When the two collided, there wasn't a one-sided situation. On the contrary, the cold light and the shockwave were evenly matched. No one could do anything to the other. This change was clearly out of Yunmu's expectations. Yunmu stood in place and didn't continue to attack. Instead, he faintly said, Not bad. You can actually block 10% of my strength. Next, I'll show you what true strength is. Boom. Yunmu closed his eyes and his aura crazily rose. Feeling the terrifying aura from Yunmu's body, the Dark Emperor was no longer arrogant. Instead, he revealed a serious expression. This was because the aura that Yunmu revealed made even the Dark Emperor feel a trace of unease. So it's a half-step supreme martial artist. Ningyu's gaze fell on Yunmu. He muttered, Every martial artist from the Nine-Furnace Divine Pavilion is indeed a genius. Not only is their cultivation at the peak of their generation, but their combat strength is also terrifying. According to Ningyu's judgment, although Yunmu was only a half-step supreme martial artist, his true strength was probably close to a peak first-grade human supreme martial artist. The Dark Emperor was only at the early manifestation realm. How could he be Yunmu's opponent? Thinking of this, Ningyu calmly said, Miss Yun, I'm untalented. I wonder if I can spar with you? You want to spar with me? Originally, Yunmu wanted to use her aura to suppress the Dark Emperor. But after hearing Ningyu's words, she instantly retracted her aura. She asked doubtfully, Are you sure? I'm sure. Ningyu nodded. All right. If you can receive one of my moves, I won't kill Zhao Lu. Also, if Zhu Jin comes, I'll block him for you. Yunmu said. Symbol martial supremacy, what do you think? Ningyu didn't immediately reply to Yunmu. Instead, he turned around and said to the symbol martial supremacy. After being stared at by Ningyu, the symbol martial supremacy immediately retracted his aura. He lightly said, You first receive one of Yunmu's moves. We'll discuss the rest later. Ningyu, receive one of my moves. At this moment, Yunmu's feet stepped on the ground. His body instantly shot out. Yunmu's speed was extremely fast. In the blink of an eye, he arrived in front of Ningyu. Chi. Yunmu's right hand pushed out. His seemingly ordinary palm forced the air to scatter in all directions. Who is this woman? How can her strength be so terrifying? I really want to hear them talk about the Nine-Furnace Divine Pavilion. I wonder if she's someone from the Nine-Furnace Divine Pavilion. What kind of place is the Nine-Furnace Divine Pavilion? How come I've never heard of it? I've never heard of it either. Maybe it's some mysterious force. It wasn't that there weren't people around that knew of the Nine-Furnace Divine Pavilion. However, they weren't fools. Yunmu was so strong, and there was even a symbol martial supremacy who hadn't made a move yet. If they were to openly discuss the Nine-Furnace Divine Pavilion at this time, wasn't that courting death? Humph. As expected, the discussion of these martial artists aroused the dissatisfaction of the symbol martial supremacy. He coldly snorted and released a bit of his aura. Hiss! Feeling the terrifying aura emitted from the symbol martial supremacy, everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. A supremacy was indeed a supremacy. His strength was terrifying. Haha, what idiots! How can they discuss the nine-furnace divine pavilion at this time? A martial artist that knew the inside story coldly sneered. He looked at those deathly pale people as if they were looking at idiot. Before doing anything, it was best to think it through first. Otherwise, they would suffer a loss, purring. The martial artist that knew the inside story hadn't even finished speaking when his eyes widened. His face was filled with disbelief. In front of him, Ning Yu's right hand stretched out, unavoidable as it collided with Yun Mu's palm. Shwa! Shwa! After a single move, the two figures rapidly retreated. Ning Yu had to take 10 steps back before he could stabilize himself. However, Yun Mu retreated even more than Ning Yu. She retreated 11 steps before stabilizing herself. What? In the eyes of the onlookers, this step was nothing. But in the eyes of the symbol martial supremacy, this step was enough to prove Ning Yu's strength. When masters exchanged blows, even a distance of half a step was fatal. How could Ning Yu's strength be so formidable? The symbol martial supremacy's face was dark and gloomy. There was an intense struggle in his heart. Chapter 891. Domain. The talisman supremacy was a decisive person. He knew that Ning Yu's attention was on Yun Mu. This was the best time to kill Zhao Lu. Once Ning Yu was free, it would be extremely difficult to kill Zhao Lu. So, he decided to act first and report later, killing Zhao Lu immediately. Whoosh! The talisman supremacy was, after all, a peak first-grade supreme martial artist. His speed wasn't something an ordinary person could match. In an instant, he arrived beside Zhao Lu and threw a punch at Zhao Lu's head. The talisman supremacy was ruthless. He wanted to explode Zhao Lu's head. Humph! Ning Yu's gaze was focused on the talisman supremacy. Especially when he saw that the talisman supremacy wanted to kill Zhao Lu, Ning Yu snorted coldly. His hands tore through the air and disappeared. Hee, I don't believe that you can stop me from such a distance. Die. The talisman supremacy's lips curled up. It was as if he could see Zhao Lu's miserable state when he was killed. What? However, what happened next made the talisman supremacy's expression change. Bang! A crisp sound rang. The talisman supremacy's fist struck out. However, it didn't land on the talisman supremacy's head. Instead, it collided with another fighter's fist. Needless to say, the other fighter was Ning Yu. You! How could you block my fist? The talisman supremacy's mouth was slightly agape. He even stuttered. Although he didn't use his full strength and only used 50% of his strength, it didn't make sense that a manifestation intermediate stage Ning Yu could block it. One had to know that a punch with 50% of his strength was enough to kill any peak manifestation realm fighter. Talisman supremacy, I address you as senior. Why did you break your promise and kill Zhao Lu? Ning Yu's expression was a little ugly. The talisman supremacy didn't know how to appreciate his kindness. He had the urge to fight with the talisman supremacy here. But Ning Yu was still rather rational. He knew that fighting with a talisman martial supremacy now, he might not necessarily be able to win. The reason he was able to kill Supremacy Yun Tian last time was because Supremacy Yun Tian only had 50% of his strength left. Right now, the talisman martial venerable was a genuine pinnacle first-grade human sovereign. I didn't break my promise. Talisman supremacy's face darkened and he said coldly, Yun Mu was the one who promised you, not me. Why can't I attack Zhao Lu? Lady Yun, what do you think of this matter? Ning Yu knew that he couldn't communicate with talisman martial supremacy, so he turned around and stared at Yun Mu. Yun Mu revealed an awkward expression. Actually, Yun Mu didn't approve of talisman martial supremacy killing Zhao Lu here, but when she thought of what Zhao Lu knew, she was more fearful. How about this, why don't we have a spar? If you can beat me, I won't kill Zhao Lu, and when Zhu Jin comes over, I'll stop him. Venerable Talisman Marshal said while rolling his eyes. I say, can't you have some shame? At this moment, the Dark Emperor couldn't stand it anymore. The Dark Emperor slowly walked to Ningyu's side and stared at Venerable Talisman Marshal Supremacy. He said in an exaggerated tone, if you lose to Ningyu later, will you also go back on your word? Crack. Venerable Talisman Marshal Supremacy was a pinnacle first-grade human sovereign. Being ridiculed by a dog in front of so many people, how could he endure it? His fists were clenched so tightly that crackling sounds could be heard. Venerable Talisman Marshal Supremacy's eyes revealed a hint of ferocity as the aura around his body rose crazily. Rumble. Perhaps he felt that the speed at which his aura rose was a little slow. Venerable Talisman Marshal Supremacy's body trembled, and a terrifying aura soared into the sky. What? That's a second-grade human sovereign. A second-grade human sovereign actually appeared in Profound Sky City. This is too unbelievable. He shouldn't be a second-grade human sovereign. According to my observations, he's only a first-grade human sovereign. However, he's in his peak state, and will advance to second-grade human sovereign at any time. A late manifestation realm warrior frowned his brows and said in a deep voice, Miss Yun, I would like to ask if our agreement is still valid. Ningyu didn't seem to be paying attention to whether or not Venerable Talisman Marshal Supremacy's aura had grown stronger, or to what extent. His focus was on Yunmu. Of course it's still valid. At this moment, Yunmu definitely wouldn't deny his words. That's good. I only hope that when Zhu Zhenjin comes over later, you can fulfill your promise and block him for me. Ningyu lightly smiled, then turned around and walked towards Venerable Talisman Marshal Supremacy. Ningyu walked very slowly, and he wasn't in a hurry at all. There was a saying that went like this: the Emperor isn't in a hurry, but the eunuch is. Ningyu wasn't in a hurry, but Ouyang Luan and the rest were extremely anxious. Duan Cheng, when Ningyu really starts fighting with Venerable Talisman Marshal Supremacy, should we make a move? Ouyang Luan whispered to Duan Cheng, who was beside him. Do you think that we can change the outcome of the battle if we make a move? Duan Cheng clearly understood what was going on. Regardless of whether it was Ningyu or Venerable Talisman Marshal Supremacy, their strength was at the peak of the Profound Sky City. It was so much so that even those hidden old demons, there weren't many that could confront them. Publishing a book to help Ningyu was undoubtedly courting death. Alright, what you said makes sense. Ouyang Luan nodded his head as he helplessly said. Ningyu didn't care about what others were thinking. At this moment, Ningyu felt that he was being led by the nose by Venerable Talisman Marshal Supremacy. In other words, Ningyu had already entered the range of Venerable Talisman Marshal Supremacy's control. He's indeed extraordinary. Ordinary sovereign realm cultivators, even earth sovereigns, and even some heavenly sovereigns can't grasp a domain. Ningyu fixed his eyes on Venerable Talisman Marshal Supremacy as he said word by word, if I've not guessed wrongly, you're the cultivator that killed Zhang Wu earlier. You're not a man, but a woman. Clap, clap, clap. Hearing Ningyu's words, Venerable Talisman Marshal Supremacy clapped her hands and said, your analysis is pretty good. Strictly speaking, mine can't be considered as a domain. It's only the embryonic form of a domain. Furthermore, you're truly not simple to be able to guess that I'm a woman. Russell. As she spoke, Venerable Talisman Marshal Supremacy's hands gently swiped before her, revealing her true appearance. Honestly speaking, Ningyu was stunned when he saw the true appearance of Venerable Talisman Marshal Supremacy. Although Ningyu had lived 2 lifetimes, he had rarely seen a woman like Venerable Talisman Marshal Supremacy. Am I beautiful? Venerable Talisman Marshal Supremacy seemed to have expected that reaction from Ningyu. She gently pursed her lips as a bewitching smile appeared on her face. Bewitching art. Ningyu wasn't someone to be trifled with. He had seen many bewitching arts in his previous life, and even cultivators stronger than venerable talisman martial supremacy had used them. If it wasn't for Ning Yu's low cultivation in this life, Ning Yu would have easily seen through a bewitching art of venerable talisman martial supremacy's level. Ha! When Ning Yu said the words bewitching art, venerable talisman martial supremacy covered her mouth as she laughed. I'm getting more and more interested in you. What a pity. Ning Yu's face was emotionless as he faintly said. Chapter 892. Strange changes, you'll be interested in me. The rune martial supremacy smiled. Her figure gradually turned illusory, and she disappeared in an instant. Seeing the rune martial supremacy disappear, Ning Yu did not panic. Instead, he slowly closed his eyes, as if he was not facing a pinnacle first-grade human supreme, but an ordinary manifestation realm martial artist. Although Ning Yu's eyes were tightly shut, his powerful senses were fully unleashed, trying his best to detect the rune martial supremacy's location. In the rune martial supremacy's domain, Ning Yu had to be extremely careful. Swoosh! Suddenly, Ning Yu's tightly shut eyes snapped open. With a flick of his wrist, the red fiend's sword appeared in his hand, and he stabbed into the air. The seemingly ordinary sword strike exploded with extremely terrifying power. Pust pust. At that instant, the surrounding space even began to tremble. What? In the air, the rune martial supremacy's expression changed drastically. One had to know that this area was her domain. Although it was only the embryonic form of her domain, the fact that Ning Yu could unleash such a terrifying strike within her domain was enough to prove Ning Yu's terrifying strength. Domain power. The rune martial supremacy's expression was solemn. She waved her hands continuously, and the space in front of her began to distort. Terrifying indeed. Feeling the huge resistance from his wrist, Ning Yu instantly retracted the red fiend's sword and said in a deep voice, "Rune martial supremacy, I just want to ask you one question. Zhao Lu, are you going to kill him or not?" "Actually, we don't have to do this." The rune martial supremacy's eyes turned as she thought of a countermeasure. "As long as you can leave my domain, I promise not to kill Zhao Lu." The rune martial supremacy was very shrewd. She was very confident in her domain. Although it was only the embryonic form of her domain, it would be extremely difficult for Ning Yu to break through it. Making a bet with Ning Yu was undoubtedly the best choice. After this exchange, the rune martial supremacy had already treated Ning Yu as a top-notch genius, the kind that was second only to Zhu Jun. "As you wish." Ning Yu frowned slightly and put away the red fiend's sword in front of the talisman supremacy. "Haha, even this flying sword of yours is unable to break open my domain. Let me see how you—" "What?" The corners of the talisman martial exalt's mouth curled up into a smile when he saw Ning Yu put away the red devil sword. The talisman supremacy's laughter had just sounded when it stopped abruptly, and he revealed a shocked expression. An extremely frightening wave of yuan qi appeared on Ning Yu's right hand before he pushed it forward. 3 lives palm. As Ning Yu shouted, a palm print that wasn't too big swept out. Voila! Wherever the palm print passed, even the space would distort. The distortion in space was even more terrifying than when the talisman martial supremacy unleashed his domain power. Rumble! When the space distorted to a certain limit, Ning Yu's palm print exploded. The immense explosive force directly blasted the talisman martial supremacy away. Not good. Retreat quickly. Hurry up and leave. It'll be too late if we delay any longer. Go, go, go! As the talisman martial supremacy unleashed his domain, the surrounding martial artists did not see the exchange between the talisman martial supremacy and Ning Yu. Martial artists who were not powerful could not see what was happening in the domain. Now that the 3 lives palm exploded, everyone reacted instantly and retreated. In front of the Ning family, the Dark Emperor, the Red Fiend, and the rest joined forces to set up a huge yuan-chi light barrier, trying their best to withstand the power of the 3 lives palm explosion. How is this possible? Yunmu took a deep breath, and her expression was solemn. Others might not know that the talisman martial supremacy had cultivated a domain, but she was crystal clear. Originally, in Yunmu's opinion, once Ning Yu entered the talisman martial supremacy's domain, he would no longer have any room to resist. Now it seemed that she was completely overthinking. The explosion came and went quickly. After everything had dissipated into thin air, everyone's gaze fell on the center of the battlefield. There, 2 figures stood with their hands behind their back. The first figure had an emotionless expression, and it was no different from before. The second figure looked a little battered and exhausted. Talisman martial supremacy, I hope you can fulfill your promise. Looking at the battered and exhausted talisman martial supremacy, Ningyu said indifferently, don't mention Zhao Lu's matter in the future. 2 days later, let's meet at the city gate of Tianxian City. Leaving this sentence, Ningyu walked towards the Ning family without turning back. Wait. The talisman martial supremacy's expression was gloomy, and he called out to Ningyu. Is there anything else? Ningyu stopped and turned around to ask. No need to wait for 2 days, leave today. The talisman martial supremacy said in a deep voice. Leave today. Ningyu frowned slightly, faintly feeling that things were not that simple. Roar. At this time, an earth-shattering roar sounded. What's going on? Judging from the sound, it seems to be coming from the city gate. Needless to say, I also know that it's coming from the city gate. What I want to ask is, what exactly happened? You ask me, but who should I ask? It was obvious. This earth-shattering roar did not attract much attention, and everyone just treated it as an ordinary roar of a demonic beast. Without my permission, no one from the Ning family is allowed to take half a step out of the Ning family. Ning Yu's reaction was completely different from everyone else's. His expression was solemn as he gave some instructions, and then his figure flashed, heading straight for the city gate of Tianxian City. Let's go too. Immediately after, the talisman martial supremacy and Yun Mu tore the void in unison and disappeared in the blink of an eye. The sudden departure of Ning Yu and the rest made the surrounding martial artists a little confused. They were still fine just now. Why did they leave immediately after hearing a demonic beast's roar? Could it be that the demonic beast that let out the roar was not ordinary? Ningyu did not care about the thoughts of these onlookers, and he did not want to care either. Ningyu stood on the city gate tower of Tianxian City, his eyes fixed on a huge creature below. Even though Ningyu had lived 2 lives, he could not help but gasp when he saw that huge demonic beast below the city gate tower. Lightning Wolf. The huge creature below the city gate tower was not any other demonic beast, but a rank 8 demonic beast, the Lightning Wolf. The strength of this Lightning Wolf should be between a peak 1st grade Human Supreme and a 2nd grade Human Supreme. Yun Mu, who was beside Ningyu, frowned. That's not the point. Ningyu looked into the distance, took a deep breath, and murmured, Lightning Wolves have always liked to live in groups. This Lightning Wolf must be the king of the Lightning Wolves. If I'm not mistaken, the pack of Lightning Wolves should be arriving soon. Rumble. As expected, the moment Ningyu's voice fell, smoke billowed in the distance. Countless Lightning Wolves rushed towards Tianxian City, striving to be the first. The densely packed Lightning Wolves' green eyes looked as though they were about to pop out, and it was a terrifying sight. We're doomed. At this moment, everyone in Tianxian City felt a sense of helplessness. Doomed. Completely doomed. Demonic beasts massacred the city. Although Tianxian City was adjacent to the magical Beast Mountain range, there had never been a case of demonic beasts massacring the city since its establishment. Chapter 893. Chapter 893. Lightning Wolf King. The Lightning Wolf pack that was charging over instantly cast a shadow over profound Heaven City. Dispirited, depressed, lost, terrified. All kinds of uneasy feelings grew and spread in the hearts of the people in Tianxian City. Damn it, we are so unlucky. If I knew this would happen, I wouldn't have come to Tianxian City. Yeah, we are doomed this time. Maybe the Lightning Wolf pack is just here for fun and will leave soon. Damn it, I can't lie anymore. Let's find a way out before we become food for the Lightning Wolves. In a room in Tianxian City, there were 3 young martial artists in the room, 2 men and 1 woman. The cultivation of these 3 martial artists was very high. The young woman was half a step to the honorable realm. The other 2 men had slightly lower cultivation, but they were at the peak of the blessed realm. Although Tianxian City is next to the Magic Beast mountain range, it is not normal for such a large scale of demonic beasts to attack the city. The taller young man frowned. According to my guess, there must be an uproar in the Magic Beast mountain range. Looks like the rumors are true. The other young man said, let's not waste any more time. Let's leave Tianxian City quickly. The earlier we enter the Magic Beast mountain range, the earlier we can get first-hand information. No hurry. The young woman waved her hand and said, slaughtering the entire city is a big event. Why don't we go and join in the fun? Creak. Then, the young woman stood up and walked out of the room, ignoring the other 2 men's reactions. Looking at the young woman's back, the 2 men had a cold look on their faces. They then disappeared after the young woman. Howl. At the same time, below the city gate of Tianxian City, the Lightning Wolf King howled at the sky. Instantly, the wolf pack behind him stopped in unison. Human. The Lightning Wolf King took 2 steps forward and said, is there a person called Ningyu in Tianxian City? Ningyu's heart skipped a beat. He knew something was wrong. It seemed like the Lightning Wolf King was looking for him. Wolf King, why are you looking for Ningyu? Ningyu asked without batting an eyelid. I've been entrusted with a task, so I'll take Ningyu's head. The Lightning Wolf King said in a deep voice. Voila! The words of the Lightning Wolf King caused an uproar in Tianxian City. So these demonic beasts are here for Ningyu. Doesn't that mean that as long as we hand over Ningyu, these demonic beasts will retreat? In theory, yes, but the demonic beasts are fickle and cunning. No one can say for sure. Who cares? Just hand over Ningyu first. In this world, there have always been many foolish people. At first, the people in Tianxian City were just discussing it. But as the discussion went on, they decided to hand over Ningyu. Whoosh! Hence, after a few minutes of discussion, everyone worked together to recommend a martial artist in the middle stage of the creation realm. This martial artist in the middle stage of the creation realm flashed and instantly flew to the top of the city tower. Wolf King, I know who Ningyu is. After the martial artist flew to the top of the city tower, he ignored Ningyu and Yunmu's gazes and said in a clear voice, but before I tell you, I want to make a deal with you. Speak. The Lightning Wolf King's expression was a little ugly. You must promise me that you will only kill Ningyu and ensure the safety of the others. After the martial artist in the middle stage of the creation realm finished speaking, he turned around and smiled at the people in Tianxian City, as if he was saying that he saved them. At this moment, the martial artist in the middle stage of the creation realm felt like he was the savior of the world. The grateful gazes of the crowd made him feel a little smug. Come here. The Lightning Wolf King frowned slightly. The feeling of being led by the nose made him very unhappy. Thinking of what happened in the Magical Beast mountain range, the Lightning Wolf King said in a deep voice. What do you want? The martial artist in the middle stage of the creation realm looked at the Lightning Wolf King warily. I swear in the name of the Wolf God that I will not hurt you, the Lightning Wolf King said calmly. All right. When the martial artist in the middle stage of the creation realm heard that the Lightning Wolf King wanted him to go over, he was a little afraid and even wanted to retreat. However, when he heard the Lightning Wolf King's vow, he nodded his head and moved in a flash, wanting to go over. Wait! At this moment Ning Yu said, "The Lightning Wolf is extremely cunning. If you go over like this, it will be too childish." "Humph! The Lightning Wolf King has already made a vow, can he still kill me?" The martial artist in the middle stage of the creation realm thought that Ning Yu wanted to stop him, so he snorted coldly and flew straight toward the Lightning Wolf King. Moreover, as the martial artist flew, he said in a clear voice, "Lightning Wolf King, listen carefully. That martial artist is Ning Yu, you must recognize him." Puff! However, evil had its retribution. Before the martial artist in the middle stage of Blessed Realm finished speaking, he opened his mouth slightly, and his eyes widened. "You said that you would not kill me." The martial artist in the middle stage of the creation realm roared with all his strength. "I did say that I would not kill you, and I did." The Lightning Wolf King stared at the corpse of the martial artist in the middle stage of the creation realm, and said calmly, "I am not the one who killed you." Hiss! Seeing the martial artist in the middle stage of the creation realm torn in half, the martial artists who were discussing to hand over Ning Yu immediately turned pale. The Lightning Wolves were indeed cunning. Trading with them was like asking a tiger for its skin. Ning Yu! The Lightning Wolf King kicked the martial artist in the middle stage of the creation realm into the wolf pack and glared at Ning Yu. "Someone wants to take your head. Are you going to chop it off yourself, or do I have to do it?" In fact, the Lightning Wolf King had long guessed Ning Yu's identity. The reason why he did not attack immediately was because he was more afraid of the Talisman Supremacy. The Talisman Supremacy was a peak grade 1 human supremacy and was extremely powerful. Furthermore, he sensed an extremely familiar aura from the young lady beside the Talisman Supremacy. That aura was extremely similar to the martial artist who forced him to take Ning Yu's head. They should be from the same sect. The Lightning Wolf King thought to himself. Back in the Magical Beast Mountain Range, the Lightning Wolf King had witnessed Zhu Zhen's super combat strength. One move. With just one move, Zhu Zhen easily defeated him. If not for the fact that he sensed an aura similar to Zhu Zhen's from Yunmu, the Lightning Wolf King would have long attacked. Why would he wait until now? "Lightning Wolf King, can you tell me who wants to take my head?" Ning Yu frowned and asked. "You really talk a lot of nonsense." The Lightning Wolf King said impatiently, "Give me a straightforward answer. Are you going to kill yourself, or do I have to do it?" Everyone's lips twitched when they heard the Lightning Wolf King's words. That was too King much. Wanting to take someone else's head and blaming them for talking too much? I also want to see how powerful a rank 8 Lightning Wolf is. Ning Yu took a deep breath and said in a deep voice. To Ning Yu, there was only a battle. Chapter 894. Chapter 894. Battle Wolf Formation. Battle Wolf Formation. Hearing that Ning Yu had accepted the challenge, the Lightning Wolf King looked at Venerable Talisman Marshal and Yunmu before shouting. Whoosh! Following the Lightning Wolf King's shout, the wolf pack behind him started to move. With the Lightning Wolf King as the center, the wolf pack spread out layer by layer. They actually used the Battle Wolf formation. Ning Yu's eyes narrowed as he felt that something was amiss. The Battle Wolf formation was a battle formation unique to the Lightning Wolf clan. In ancient times, Lightning Wolves would definitely use the Battle Wolf formation in a duel. The strongest point of the Battle Wolf formation was its defensive power. It was difficult for ordinary cultivators to break through the Battle Wolf formation formed by the wolf pack. In other words, if Ning Yu accepted the challenge, it would be difficult for him to escape, regardless of the outcome. Ning Yu, I'll give you a chance to challenge me. The Lightning Wolf King stood in the center of the Battle Wolf formation and stared at Ning Yu. If you have the guts to enter the Battle Wolf formation, I can promise to leave your corpse intact. Ning Yu's face was dark and no one knew what he was thinking. Beside him, Yun Mu and Venerable Talisman Marshal had no intention of making a move. The situation was clear. Whoever made a move would be the enemy of the entire Lightning Wolf pack. Even a Grade 2 sovereign wouldn't dare to try such a terrifying outcome, not to mention a Grade 1 sovereign like Venerable Talisman Marshal, whose domain was damaged. Aunt Yun, the Lightning Wolf King, said that he was entrusted by someone to take Ningyu's head. Yun Mu frowned and whispered, "Is there a possibility that this person is Zhu Jun?" Venerable Talisman Marshal shook his head and said, "It's hard to say. After all, Ningyu has offended too many people. Whether it's the Corpse Sect or the Blood God Palace, there are people with this ability. Aunt Yun, if you make a move, how confident are you in defeating the Lightning Wolf King and breaking the Battle Wolf formation?" Yun Mu stared at Ningyu, who was hovering in midair with his hands clasped behind his back. "You want me to make a move?" Venerable Talisman Marshal looked at Yun Mu with a faint smile. "How could that be? I'm just afraid that after Ningyu is killed, the Lightning Wolf King would not keep its promise and launch another attack on Profound Sky City, which would affect us." Yun Mu hurriedly explained. "There's no need to say more. You must remember your mission." The Talisman Supremacy waved his hand and said in a deep voice, "Before you succeed, you can't have any romantic feelings. Xiao! Xiao!" At this moment, two figures approached from afar, galloping over. Looking at the approaching figure, Ning Yu's face lit up. Dark Emperor, Red Devil. The reason why Ning Yu did not enter the Battle Wolf formation was partly because he was afraid of the Lightning Wolf King's strength, and partly because he was waiting for the Red Fiend. The Red Fiend was the sword spirit of the Red Fiend's sword. Without the Red Fiend, the might of the Red Fiend's sword would be greatly reduced. Two small shrimps. The Lightning Wolf King merely glanced at the Dark Emperor and the Red Devil King, and then he turned his head to look at Ningyu. "Don't tell me that these two are your helpers." "Why? Are you afraid?" Ningyu's lips curled up as he said indifferently. "What a joke. These two small shrimps? I don't even need to do anything. My battle wolves can kill them with ease," the Lightning Wolf King said coldly. "If that's the case, there shouldn't be a problem for the three of us to fight you together, right?" Ever since the Dark Emperor and the Red Fiend arrived, Ningyu's worry had lessened a little. Ningyu might not have much confidence in fighting the Lightning Wolf King alone. Now that the Dark Emperor and the Red Fiend were included, Ningyu had a 50% chance of defeating him and a 10% chance of killing him. "No problem, what problem can there be? Cut the crap and enter the Battle Wolf formation," the Lightning Wolf King said impatiently. Swish, swish, swish. Ningyu, the Dark Emperor and the others looked at each other, and then they moved in unison, instantly landing within the War Wolf formation. SSS. The moment he stepped into the Battle Wolf formation, Ningyu could not help but suck in a breath of cold air. The terrifying pressure from all directions pounced on him. If not for the fact that Ningyu was prepared, he might have knelt down on the spot. It's actually 10 times the gravity. After stabilizing his body, Ningyu's heart was in turmoil. Not only was the Battle Wolf formation terrifying, the gravity inside was also different from the outside world. To be honest, Ningyu would be more or less affected if he fought under 10 times the gravity. Battle Wolf formation, adjust the gravity. The Lightning Wolf King roared into the sky and the surrounding lightning wolves began to move. Damn it! As the lightning wolves moved, Ningyu's expression turned uglier and uglier. That was because Ningyu realized that the gravity around him had changed again. 10 times the gravity, 11 times, 12 times in just a few minutes, the gravity in the Battle Wolf formation had reached a terrifying 20 times. 20 times the gravity. If it was any mid-stage manifestation realm martial artist, their strength would be reduced by about half. Ningyu was different. He was only slightly affected. Die! After the gravity increased to 20 times, the Lightning Wolf King roared, stomped on the ground, and charged forward. Solitaire! Ningyu flicked his wrist, and the red demon's sword in his hand slashed down with a sword wave. Tsk tsk. The sword wave, which was as thick as a waist, drew a beautiful arc in the air and attacked the Lightning Wolf King. Insignificant skill. Looking at the sword wave that was approaching him, the Lightning Wolf King's lips curled up. Then, the Lightning Wolf King opened his mouth and spat out a gust of wind. Lightning wave. A gas that was not too big flew out of the Lightning Wolf King's mouth and collided with Solitaire. Rumble. The two collided. Neither could do anything to the other. The sword wave and the lightning wave both dissipated. Oh, not bad, not bad. You do have some skills. Seeing the lightning wave dissipate, the Lightning Wolf King said darkly, "If not for someone's request, I might have taken you as my mount. What a pity." As soon as he said that, the Lightning Wolf King instantly shot out. Howl, howl, howl. The Lightning Wolf King's attack was extremely ferocious, and it displayed the strength that the leader of the Lightning Wolves should have. The surrounding Lightning Wolves all let out howls. Howl my a**s. Hearing the howls of the Lightning Wolves, the Dark Emperor curled his lips and said in disdain, "If not for your leader, I would have devoured all of you." The Dark Emperor was a heaven-devouring dog, and he was known to devour heaven and earth. The most painful thing in the world was to be faced with so much delicious food but not be able to enjoy it. Right now, the Dark Emperor was on the verge of collapse. "Devour my a**s. The Red Demon rolled his eyes at the Dark Emperor and said, "Even without the Lightning Wolf leader, you won't be able to devour all these Lightning Wolves. Let me ask you, how confident are you that you can leave the Battle Wolf formation?" Hearing the Red Demon's words, the Dark Emperor was so angry that his nose became crooked. The Battle Wolf formation was terrifying, but it was still lacking if it wanted to trap the leader of the heaven-devouring dog race. Open your eyes wide and see how I broke through the War Wolf formation. Chapter 895. A Sudden Intervention. The Dark Emperor's sudden action attracted Yun Mu and the Talisman Supremacy's attention. The Talisman Supremacy frowned. That black dog is at early-stage manifestation state. He's indeed not simple to be able to move freely under 20 times the gravity. Aunt Yun, that black dog isn't thinking of leaving the wolf battle formation, is it? Yun Mu opened his mouth and asked hesitantly. There were only 4 people in the wolf battle formation. The Lightning Wolf King, Ning Yu, the black dog, and the man in red. If the black dog wanted to kill the other lightning wolves other than the Lightning Wolf King, it had to leave the wolf battle formation. Yun Mu also knew how terrifying the wolf battle formation was. Even if the Dark Emperor was at peak manifestation state, Yun Mu did not think that he could leave the wolf battle formation, much less early-stage manifestation state. Should be. The Talisman Supremacy said with a solemn expression. Crazy. Ning Yu is a lunatic. The dog he brought is also crazy. What? Yun Mu shook his head when he heard the Talisman Venerable's reply. However, before Yun Mu finished his sentence, he stopped abruptly with a shocked expression. Crack! At the edge of the wolf battle formation, the Dark Emperor raised his front claws and broke the neck of a lightning wolf. A crisp sound traveled into the ears of Ning Yu and the Lightning Wolf King. Swoosh! Ning Yu and the Lightning Wolf King immediately separated and floated to one side of the wolf battle formation. This. How is this possible? The Lightning Wolf King's mouth was slightly agape as he looked at the lightning wolf that was sucked dry by the Dark Emperor. That was the wolf battle formation. It was actually easily broken by an early-stage manifestation state black dog? The Lightning Wolf King was a little dazed and confused. In the depths of the magical beast mountain range, very few demonic beasts dared to offend them mainly because of the wolf battle formation. Once trapped in the wolf battle formation, it would be very difficult to escape. There was once a Grade 1 human supreme who accidentally entered the wolf battle formation. The Lightning Wolf King did not even make a move and only ordered a group of manifestation state lightning wolves to take turns to fight him, exhausting the Grade 1 human supreme to death. Nothing much. A primal core realm lightning wolf isn't even enough to fill the gaps between my teeth. The Dark Emperor kicked away the lightning wolf whose neck he had broken. He turned around and said to the Lightning Wolf King, "Call all the lightning wolves in the creation realm over. I want to enjoy them." Kiki. The Lightning Wolf King was so angry that its teeth were chattering. It wanted nothing more than to rush forward and kill the Dark Emperor. However, the Lightning Wolf King hadn't completely lost its mind. Taking a deep breath, the Lightning Wolf King said solemnly, "Since you're courting death, I'll fulfill your wish." Roar. As soon as the Lightning Wolf King finished speaking, 4 tall lightning wolves walked out of the pack. These 4 lightning wolves were several times larger than the other lightning wolves. Later stage of the Blessed Realm. 4 lightning wolves in the later stage of the Blessed Realm. That's more like it. A cunning smile flashed across the Dark Emperor's eyes. His figure flashed, and his target was the 4 advanced manifestation realm lightning wolves. Fight. At this moment, the Dark Emperor's entire body exuded a terrifying battle intent. Ao 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 ao. Looking at the incoming Dark Emperor, the 4 lightning wolves in the advanced stage of the Fate state howled in unison and engaged the Dark Emperor in battle. Boom! The Dark Emperor and the lightning wolves were both demonic beasts. The battle between them was more of a physical clash, and they rarely used spells. Even though it was 1 against 4, the Dark Emperor was not at a disadvantage at all. Instead, he had the upper hand. When did the Dark Emperor become so powerful? Ningyu muttered with a frown. Ningyu knew the Dark Emperor's strength very well. The Dark Emperor at the early stage of the manifestation realm could contend against and even kill manifestation realm demonic beasts and demonic beasts at the later stage. There was no reason for the Dark Emperor to have the upper hand against 4. F***ck. Suddenly, Ningyu seemed to have noticed something and couldn't help but curse. Ningyu discovered Furball's aura on the Dark Emperor's body. In other words, Furball was hidden under the Dark Emperor's thick fur without anyone noticing. How was that possible? Ningyu's expression darkened. Furball was small to begin with. It was difficult to discover him when he was hidden under the Dark Emperor's thick fur. After all, Furball and the Dark Emperor were both heaven-swallowing dogs, and their auras were about the same. Everyone's attention was focused on Ningyu and the Lightning Wolf, so it was understandable that they didn't discover it. With Furball's help, let alone 4 late-stage manifestation realm lightning wolves, even 8 late-stage manifestation realm lightning wolves would be unafraid of the Dark Emperor. Since he was sure that the Dark Emperor was fine, Ningyu ignored him and said to the Lightning Wolf King, "Do you want to continue the battle between us?" "Humph." The Lightning Wolf King snorted coldly and said, "It seems like you're very confident in the black dog you brought. Since that's the case, why don't we make a bet?" Hearing the Lightning Wolf King's words, Ningyu frowned, feeling a little confused. Logically speaking, the Lightning Wolf King shouldn't be afraid of him. Furthermore, through the battle with the Lightning Wolf King just now, Ningyu could clearly determine the Lightning Wolf King's strength. Early first-grade human sovereign. In other words, the Lightning Wolf King's battle prowess was only equivalent to an ordinary early first-grade human sovereign. To be honest, Ningyu only needed to wield the Red Demon Sword, and he would definitely be able to kill an ordinary early first-grade human sovereign in a few moves. There must be some conspiracy. Ningyu secretly became cautious. After all, the Lightning Wolf King's intelligence was not inferior to that of a human. If the Lightning Wolf King knew what Ningyu was thinking, he would definitely vomit blood. The reason why he didn't continue to fight with Ningyu was because other than Yun Mu and the talisman martial supremacy, he discovered 3 more terrifying figures on the other side. How unlucky. The Lightning Wolf King couldn't say anything. He revealed the aura of a peak first-grade human sovereign at the beginning because he wanted to scare Ningyu. Now, it seemed like his plan had completely failed. Not only did Zhu Jin defeat him, but he also crippled most of his strength. Now, he was left with less than half of his strength. In order to cure the poison, I have to kill Ningyu. Thinking of the black elixir that Zhu Jin gave him before he came, the Lightning Wolf King made up his mind. Even if he had to sacrifice most of his lightning wolves, he would take Ningyu's head. How do we bet? Just as the Lightning Wolf King was pondering, Ningyu's voice rang out. It's simple, bet on who will win. The Lightning Wolf King pointed at the two parties fighting in midair and said in a low voice, If the black dog wins, I will immediately retreat and promise to never step into Tianxian City again. But if the black dog loses, you will have to chop off his head and let me take it away. Haha, you're really scheming. Ningyu smiled faintly and said, No matter if I win or lose, you won't lose anything. It's fine if you don't bet. Bet, why wouldn't I? As soon as Ningyu finished speaking, a voice came from afar. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Chapter 896. Battle Royale. Looking at the three figures that suddenly appeared in front of him, Ningyu's heart thumped and he secretly became cautious. 3 figures, 2 men and 1 woman. Among them, the young woman's cultivation was roughly at the half-step Supreme Being realm, while the other 2 men's cultivation was at the peak of the creation realm. In terms of cultivation, these 3 martial artists were not very high. However, Ningyu could sense a terrifying aura from their bodies. This aura was not inferior to the Lightning Wolf King's. Who are those 3 warriors? On the city gate tower, Yunmu frowned and asked doubtfully. Just like Ningyu, Yunmu also felt a terrifying aura from the 3 martial artists. Even though Yunmu was very confident in his strength, he wasn't 100% sure that he could defeat the 3 warriors. Especially that young woman, she gave Yunmu a great deal of pressure. Blood God Palace. Supremacy Talisman Marshall's expression was solemn, and a ferocious look appeared on his face. The 9 Furnace Divine Pavilion and the Blood God Palace were mortal enemies. The hatred between them could not be mediated. Within the 9 Furnace Divine Pavilion, there was a rule. As long as a martial artist from the Blood God Palace was stronger than them, they must be killed without mercy. Aunt Yun, should we take action? Yun Mu's entire body trembled slightly when he heard the talisman marshal exalt, and he spoke in a low voice. Yun Mu was the saintess of the 9 Cauldron Divine Pavilion's first branch. She had personally killed at least 80 Blood God Palace martial artists. As she saw the 3 genius martial artists from the Blood God Palace, her first thought was to immediately attack. However, the current situation was rather critical, and there were too many things to consider before making a move. Therefore, Yun Mu chose to ask the talisman marshal supremacy. Let's wait and see what those people from Blood God Palace are up to. The talisman supremacy's eyes revealed a cold expression as he spoke in a low voice. Humph! Where did this little thief come from? Could it be that you want to become enemies with the entire Lightning Wolf clan? The Lightning Wolf King glared at the 3 cultivators who had suddenly appeared and snorted coldly. If you know what's good for you, get lost. Otherwise, don't blame me for being impolite. Hee, don't misunderstand, we mean no harm. The young woman said with a smile. It's rare to see so many lightning wolves, so I'm just a little excited. What does your emotional state have to do with me? The Lightning Wolf King's tone was cold, showing no mercy to the young woman. I'll say it one last time. Are you leaving or not? Let me introduce myself. I am Qin Xiang. The young woman didn't care about the Lightning Wolf King's reaction at all. She pointed at the 2 young men beside her and introduced them. These 2 are Dan Qiong and He Ku. Ningyu frowned slightly but did not intervene. In fact, even the Dark Emperor in midair stopped fighting and flew behind Ningyu. Swish, 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 swish. The 4 late-stage manifestation lightning wolves also landed behind the Lightning Wolf King. At this moment, there were a total of 3 factions in the broken battle wolf formation. On Ning Yu's side, with him as the leader, the Dark Emperor and the Red Devil's battle prowess was equally impressive. As for the Lightning Wolf King, he was the main fighting force. The 4 lightning wolves in the later stage of the Blessed Realm were not to be underestimated either. Qin Xiang was half a step into the Supremacy Realm, while Dan Qiong and Hiku were both at the peak of the Manifestation Realm. Their battle prowess was equally terrifying. The more people there are, the more fun it will be. Qin Xiang's lips curled into a smile. I have a plan for the bet. I wonder if you guys will agree. Let's hear it, Ning Yu and the Lightning Wolf King said in unison. Haha, each of us will send 1 person. Of course, you guys can send Demonic Beast. Qin Xiang smiled. The winner has the right to make the other 2 do whatever they want. Swoosh. At this point, Ning Yu and the Lightning Wolf King were slightly stunned. So, Qin Xiang was waiting for them here. What do the 2 of you think? Qin Xiang continued. I have no objections, Ning Yu shrugged and said. Ning Yu was well aware of Qin Xiang's ambition. She didn't want to become enemies with the Lightning Wolf King. She wanted to become enemies with both of them. Simply put, she wanted to take them all. If nothing went wrong, Qin Xiang would definitely say that she wanted to make a heavenly oath. Oh right, I forgot to mention something. As expected, Qin Xiang patted her head and said again, if the 2 of you agree, please make a heavenly oath. Otherwise, it won't be convincing. Why should I agree? The Lightning Wolf King frowned. Among the 3 of us, I seem to be the strongest, right? As long as I give the order, there will be lightning wolves that cover the sky and land attacking you. Even if we use attrition warfare, we can still exhaust you to death. Relying on these Yuan Dan realm lightning wolves? Qin Xiang sneered. Then, she flicked her wrist. In an instant, a cold light flew out. Chi-Chi, the speed of the cold light was very fast. It shuttled back and forth among the lightning wolves. Every time there was a Chi-Chi sound, a lightning wolf would die. Enough. Seeing this, the Lightning Wolf King said coldly, Isn't it just a bet? I agree. Great. Qin Xiang snapped her fingers and said, I will fight on our side. You guys discuss who to send. Is there still a need to discuss? The Lightning Wolf King said coldly, On our side, of course I will fight. As for Ning Yu's side, if there are no surprises, it will definitely be Ning Yu. You are very smart. Ning Yu nodded and said, Since that is the case, then let's not delay and start now. Hearing Ning Yu and the Lightning Wolf King's words, Qin Xiang said indifferently, I will first state the rules. 3 people battle royale. Do you guys have any objections? Battle royale? Hearing this, Ning Yu and the Lightning Wolf King were a little confused. This kind of 3 people battle royale had many disadvantages. If 2 of them joined hands to deal with the other, wouldn't the other person die? Ning Yu furrowed his brows. Although he didn't know what Qin Xiang was up to, he secretly became cautious. Howl! The Lightning Wolf King took a deep breath and roared at the sky. Whoosh! As the Lightning Wolf King roared, the surrounding lightning wolves moved again and formed a circular area. In the circular area, Ning Yu, the Lightning Wolf King, and Qin Xiang stood with their hands behind their back. No one attacked immediately. On the other side, the Dark Emperor, the Red Devil, the 4 late-stage Creation Realm Lightning Wolves, Dan Qiong, and Hiku formed a triangle. I am very curious about your identity. Ning Yu was highly focused as he stared at Qin Xiang and said, Now that things have come to this, there is no harm in telling you. Qin Xiang smiled and said, I am from the Blood God Palace. Without waiting for Ning Yu to speak, Qin Xiang continued, Now you have 2 choices. First, submit to me and become my slave. Second, die. The moment the word die was said, Qin Xiang's aura erupted and soared into the sky. As soon as the aura rose, Qin Xiang flicked her wrist and a purple scroll flew out from her sleeve. Boom! The scroll rose into the air and exploded with a loud bang. Chapter 897. Ancient Battle Formation. What? It's actually an ancient battle formation? It's actually an ancient battle formation. On the city tower, Yun Mu and the talisman Martial Venerable's expressions changed drastically, and their faces revealed a horrified expression. If the Battle Wolf battle formation was terrifying, then the ancient battle formation was abnormally terrifying. As the name suggested, the ancient battle formation only existed in ancient times. In ancient times, the experts could destroy the world with a wave of their hand. In order to not harm others, the formation masters invented this unique battle formation. Up until now, the method to create the ancient battle formation had already been lost. The fact that Qin Xiang still had a scroll in her hands shocked Venerable Talisman Martial and Yun Mu. Aunt Yun, once the ancient battle formation appears, Ning Yu and the Lightning Wolf King will definitely lose, said Yun Mu. The reason why Yun Mu had this thought was that Qin Xiang's strength would increase by several folds in the ancient battle formation. Qin Xiang, who was several folds stronger, wouldn't be afraid even if Ning Yu and the Lightning Wolf King joined forces. I know. I'll make a move when necessary. Venerable Talisman Martial's expression was grave. Although she said that, she was more worried than Yun Mu. From the looks of it, Ning Yu and the Lightning Wolf King would definitely lose. From Qin Xiang's reaction, she would definitely make Ning Yu and the Lightning Wolf King her slaves. Once that happened, even she might be in danger. But Yun Mu opened his mouth as if he wanted to say something, but he swallowed the words that were at the tip of his tongue. Venerable Talisman Martial made it sound easy, but the ancient battle formation wasn't a joke. With her pinnacle first-grade human sovereign cultivation, it would be hard for her to break it. Looks like you're prepared. Within the ancient battle formation, Ning Yu said, you're very confident in your strength, to the point that you can fight two at once. This isn't confidence, it's the truth. In the ancient battle formation, my strength will increase by at least 4 to 5-fold. How are you going to fight me? I'll give you a chance now. Surrender and become my slaves, and I might spare your lives. Otherwise, at this point, Qin Xiang paused for a moment, and then her aura rose explosively once more. Buzz. Half-step Supreme Being Realm. An early-stage first-grade Supreme Martial Artist. First-grade Intermediate Human Supremacy. First-grade Peak Human Supremacy. In just a few seconds, Qin Xiang's cultivation rose from the half-step Sovereign Realm to the pinnacle first-grade Human Sovereign Realm. Voila! Sensing the terrifying aura emanating from Qin Xiang's body, some of the onlookers on the city tower revealed horrified expressions. That was a pinnacle first-grade human sovereign. How could Ning Yu and the Lightning Wolf King contend against such strength? Oh my God, why are all the people from the Blood God Palace so powerful? Outside the ancient battle formation, the Dark Emperor swallowed a mouthful of saliva and said with widened eyes, Dark Emperor, is there any way to send me into the primordial battle formation? Red Devil's expression was grim as he transmitted his voice to the Dark Emperor. The Red Devil knew that Ning Yu urgently needed him, urgently needed the Red Devil sword that had a sword spirit. Just now, the Dark Emperor was able to easily break through the Warwolf formation. Who knows, he might be able to break through the ancient battle formation. However, the Dark Emperor's next action caused Red Devil's face to be covered in a layer of frost. The Dark Emperor shook his head and said, the primordial battle formation and the Battle Wolf formation are not on the same level. Unless I advance to the pinnacle manifestation realm, I won't be able to break it. Aren't you afraid of cutting your tongue off? Before the Dark Emperor could finish his sentence, Dan Qiong said sarcastically, an early-stage manifestation realm black dog dares to speak so arrogantly. The ignorant are truly fearless. That's right. A dog should go eat sh*t. It hurts my eyes to see it here, Hiku added. Swoosh. The Dark Emperor hated it the most when others called him a dog. To the Dark Emperor, if a powerful martial artist called him a dog, he might tolerate it. However, if a martial artist who wasn't very strong called him a dog, he would definitely fight back. The Dark Emperor thought so and did so. In a flash, the Dark Emperor came to Hiku's side and swept his tail towards Hiku's neck. The Dark Emperor's goal was clear. He wanted to break Hiku's neck. Interesting black dog. Hiku's lips curled up slightly. He raised his right hand and grabbed the Dark Emperor's tail. I'll break your tail first. Not good. Hiku was just about to exert strength when his expression changed drastically. He hurriedly let go and retreated. However, the ideal was very rich, but the reality was very harsh. Before Hiku could take a few steps back, a white ball-shaped object shot out from the Dark Emperor's body and struck Hiku's heart in the blink of an eye. Bang! The immense force caused Hiku to retreat dozens of feet. Hiku spat out fresh blood and his expression was as ugly as if he had eaten **T. Woof woof. Furball did not continue attacking after the successful attack. Instead, he returned to the Dark Emperor's shoulder and squatted. It was not that Furball did not want to kill Hiku, but because Dan Xiong had released the aura of a pinnacle manifestation realm and locked onto Furball. As long as Furball dared to attack again, Dan Xiong would definitely not sit idly by. Hiku wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and was extremely furious. Kill him! Hiku was not the kind of person who was good at enduring. He roared and was the first to charge towards the Dark Emperor. Damn it! Dan Xiong cursed silently when she saw Hiku attack. Then, she followed closely behind Hiku and charged towards the Dark Emperor. Swoosh! 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 Suddenly, 4 late-stage manifestation realm lightning wolves landed in front of the Dark Emperor. Their intentions were clear. Let's die together. Hiku and Dan Xiong did not care about the 4 late-stage manifestation realm lightning wolves. They roared and used their strongest moves. Blood coagulation art. Blood tyrant art. Hiku and Dan Xiong waved their hands repeatedly. In an instant, 2 spells flew out and hit the 2 late-stage manifestation realm lightning wolves. Bang! Bang! After being hit by the spells, the 2 late-stage manifestation realm lightning wolves retreated dozens of feet and landed in the wolf pack. These 2 late-stage manifestation realm lightning wolves had great endurance. They bounced out the moment they landed and landed beside the Dark Emperor. Lightning Wolf King, your battle wolves are very durable. In the ancient battle formation, Qin Xiang raised her brows and said sinisterly, If I'm not wrong, these 4 battle wolves of yours have been through many battles. Cut the crap. If you want to fight, let's fight. The Lightning Wolf King was very clear about the situation in front of him. Otherwise, he would not have secretly ordered the 4 lightning wolves to help the Dark Emperor. The current situation was that the martial artists from the Blood God Palace wanted to challenge him and Ningyu. In that case, I won't hold back. Qin Xiang laughed sinisterly and slowly raised her hands. Whoosh! As Qin Xiang raised her palms, an extremely terrifying gust of wind slowly rose from the bottom to the top. Formation. Seeing this, Ningyu and the Lightning Wolf King looked at each other and hurriedly released the primordial qi in their bodies, forming a primordial qi light shield in front of them. The primordial qi light shield had a total of 2 layers. The outermost layer was the primordial qi of the lightning wolves. No, it should be the energy of the lightning wolves. As for the other layer, it was the primordial qi in Ningyu's body. Chapter 898. Control in the blink of an eye. The violent wind blasted the primordial qi light shield in front of Ningyu and the Lightning Wolf King. A crisp sound resounded in the ancient battle formation. Crack! Almost instantly, the energy light shield set up by the Lightning Wolf King was shattered. Countless energy fragments scattered in all directions and frantically eroded the second primordial qi light shield. Let's see how long you can resist. Seeing that the terrifying wind couldn't break the second primordial qi light shield, Qin Xiang let out a low roar and waved her hands again. In an instant, an even more terrifying wind slowly rose. Boom! Compared to the first wind, the second wind was much more powerful. It could even be described as nature-defying. Under the great power of the wind, the Lightning Wolf King couldn't hold on for long and was sent flying dozens of feet away. Dark red blood spurted out and the Lightning Wolf King's aura continued to drop. In the blink of an eye, it had dropped to the peak of the blessed realm. I see. Seeing the Lightning Wolf King's miserable state, Ning Yu's eyes narrowed and he instantly understood. The Lightning Wolf King was injured. Moreover, the injury wasn't light. The Lightning Wolf King is the first. Qin Xiang's lips curled up and an evil smile appeared on her face. She stared at Ning Yu and said, "Next, you will be the second. Solitaire." At this critical moment, Ning Yu flicked his wrist and waved the red demon's sword in his hand. Whoosh! Suddenly, several sword waves appeared in the air and rushed toward Qin Xiang at a terrifying speed. Solitaire? So, you are from the Supreme Nine Purities Temple. Looking at the sword waves that were flying toward her, Qin Xiang's eyes narrowed and she felt a little worried. The Supreme Nine Purities Temple was very powerful, even stronger than the Blood God Palace. At this moment, Qin Xiang changed her mind. Ning Yu couldn't be left alive. He had to die. Thinking of this, Qin Xiang stomped on the ground and rushed out. At the same time, a black flying sword appeared in Qin Xiang's hand and she slashed in the air. A waist-thick sword aura appeared and collided with the solitaire. Rumble! As most of Ning Yu's essence energy was used to fend off the terrifying wind, the might of the sword waves that he slashed out was limited. They were naturally dispersed. Ning Yu, at first I wanted to spare your life, but now I've changed my mind. I've decided to grant you death. As Qin Xiang growled, the black flying sword instantly left his palm. Its target was Ning Yu's heart. The black flying sword was a mid-grade king-rank flying sword, and it was extremely powerful. If Ning Yu was unfortunate enough to have his heart pierced by it, he would undoubtedly die. Kill. Ning Yu was not a pushover. He used all the strength in his body to slash out. Ding! The red demon sword collided with the black flying sword, and a crisp sound rang out. What? The sudden turn of events caused Qin Xiang's mouth to gape slightly. She was in a trance. Her black flying sword actually had a tiny crack cut on it. Although the gap was very small, it was still discovered by her sharp senses. Open for me. While Qin Xiang was slightly stunned, the essence energy in Ning Yu's sea of consciousness suddenly rushed out and completely dispersed the terrifying wind in front of him. Swish! After dispersing the terrifying wind, Ning Yu leaped to the side of the Lightning Wolf King. How much combat power do you have left? Ning Yu helped the Lightning Wolf King up and said in a deep voice. The situation was already very clear. It was very difficult for Ning Yu to kill Qin Xiang alone. He might not even be able to contend with Qin Xiang. The only thing he could do now was to join forces with the Lightning Wolf King at his peak. Otherwise, both of them would be defeated and become Qin Xiang's slaves. There was even a chance that he might be killed. At most 30%. The Lightning Wolf King stood up and said in a deep voice. Aren't you a F** King Peak first-grade human supreme? Why are you acting like a coward? Hearing the Lightning Wolf King's words, Ning Yu gritted his teeth and said fiercely. The Lightning Wolf King's eyes flickered, as if he had made a very big decision. He gritted his teeth and said, I have internal injuries and can only use about 50% of my battle power. Coupled with Qin Xiang's attack, it's already very good that I have 30% of my battle power left. Injuries. Ning Yu was slightly stunned. He said in a deep voice, Open your mind and let me check. The Lightning Wolf King was unmoved. Swish. At this moment, Qin Xiang wielded the black flying sword and once again appeared in front of Ning Yu. This time, Qin Xiang did not hold back at all. She injected all her essence energy into the flying sword and ruthlessly slashed at Ning Yu's neck. Lightning Wolf King, if you don't want to die, you better open your mind. Otherwise we will all die. Ningyu took a step forward and waved the red fiend sword in his hand, fighting with Qin Xiang. Due to the support of the ancient battle formation, Qin Xiang's battle power was infinitely close to a grade 2 supreme martial artist. Under such circumstances, Ningyu could only passively hold on. A slight mistake would result in a tragic death. Although it was dangerous, Ningyu still chose to convince the Lightning Wolf King. This was because Ningyu was clear that he could not contend against Qin Xiang. It was only a matter of time before he was defeated. Alright. After pondering for a second, the Lightning Wolf King finally made up his mind and completely opened up his mind. Swish. Ningyu seized the opportunity and quickly separated a portion of his soul power into the Lightning Wolf King's body to check. SSS. Just as his soul power entered the Lightning Wolf King's body, Ningyu took in a breath of cold air. The situation inside the Lightning Wolf King's body could only be described as terrible. A ball of black gas was constantly corroding the Lightning Wolf King's heart. If it was not dealt with in time, the Lightning Wolf King would definitely die in another 3 to 4 days. Lightning Wolf King, hand over control of your body to me. Ningyu clenched his teeth and once again separated a portion of his soul power into the Lightning Wolf King's body. This portion of soul power directly entered the Lightning Wolf King's sea of consciousness. Impossible! The Lightning Wolf King subconsciously denied. What a joke! If Ningyu obtained control of his body, wouldn't he become Ningyu's slave? Ningyu's expression was extremely ugly. Swish. At this moment, Qin Xiang took advantage of the gap between Ningyu and the Lightning Wolf King's conversation and stabbed her sword into Ningyu's chest. Hee, a manifestation realm intermediate stage cultivator dares to be distracted while fighting me? Aren't you afraid that I will chop off your head in one strike? Qin Xiang retracted her flying sword and said with a faint smile. Since Qin Xiang had stopped, Ningyu did not continue to attack. Instead, he communicated with the Lightning Wolf King once more. Lightning Wolf King, you only have 2 choices in front of you. Lightning Wolf King, you only have 2 choices in front of you. First, open your mind and let me control your body. Second, die in battle. Moreover, the pack of lightning wolves you brought with you will be completely annihilated. Boom! Ningyu's second sentence stabbed the Lightning Wolf King's sore spot. If the Lightning Wolf pack died in his hands, he would not be able to answer to the seniors of the Lightning Wolf tribe even if he died. Alright, I agree. The Lightning Wolf King howled towards the sky and completely released his mind. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.